Hello, my darlings, and welcome to the second episode of Tea Time, a Bridgerton podcast hosted by myself, LeighErin and Jordan, and my lovely companion,
Jordan Deeb. What's up, everyone?
Yes, we have our teas.
As always.
As always, we have our teas. I went for a slightly more casual look. My hair is a little more like sienna than like a Daphne. Got like a much more casual.
Oh God, that is Sienna's hair.
It is. It's also Keira Knightley's hair from Pirates of the Caribbean. But this is how Sienna does her hair.
I also thought her name was Serena up until the fourth episode.
Yep, and that's totally fine because he calls her S or C a lot. So it can be a little confusing.
And it's like,
so does the modiste, whose name I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm sure that like with someone's accent, Sienna sounded like Serena to me.
Exactly, I'm positive. Now, before we jump in, let's talk about our teas. Jordan, what are you drinking today?
Okay, so I'm going for a little bit more of a standard casual tea today. Just black tea, 2 sugars. Simple, basic, fantastic. I know last week I sweetened it up with sugar and honey, but it's a different type of sweetness.
I hate sweet tea so much. I am drinking the Queen... Oh, I just almost dropped this. Hang on. I am drinking the Queen's Blend, the last of what I brought back from London like 3 years ago. A little bit of cream. It's a nice black tea with a little bit of lavender and a little bit of citrus in it. It's a nice like cross between like a black tea and an herbal.
Nice.
Which is kind of the zone in which I live with my teas.
See, Earl Grey is more of a mind high, and then English breakfast is more of a body high.
English breakfast, I just drink every day like water, like throughout the day. Like I just make a big jug of English breakfast iced tea or hot tea, and I just kind of drink that like water. And I don't feel like drinking water. That's what I drink.
Because it's
either
water.
Irish or English breakfast. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's literally why they drank tea back then, was because the water was so unclean. You had to boil it anyway, so they would just boil it for tea.
God, it was so depressing back then.
Like coffee didn't become like a breakfast drink until Ben Franklin told like the people that worked for him they had to stop drinking ale with breakfast because like shit wasn't getting done, and that's when coffee became the popular breakfast drink in America, because at that point we had been boycotting tea already.
Yeah, we fucking dumped that shit in the ocean. And now
I heard somebody refer to that once as a cold brew, just a giant cold brew.
See, I like to think that it's like now the fish in that area are just like really fucking sophisticated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's great, my man. Like, I get it. I'd be mad.
Granted, they're from Boston, so how sophisticated can they be?
Back then, more so than now.
Yeah, I know by a lot.
Mean, but still. This is okay. Can I talk to you about something really quick that has to do with Bridgerton, but also doesn't?
Go ahead.
You know me. I love a period piece. And I've been watching Downton Abbey because I just needed to put off rewatching Bridgerton for this podcast. And I'm caught up on The Crown and have no... That's not really a period drama in my eyes.
Not anymore, at least.
Especially, yeah, not now. We're on to, like...
We have Diana now, like, yeah.
So, like, it's not, like, a period piece in my mind anymore. But, like, I love a period piece. Started watching Downton Abbey. Started getting commercials and ads on Hulu for the Gilded Age from HBO Max, which is from the creator of Downton Abbey. It's basically Downton Abbey, high society, except it takes place in New York at the turn of the century. It's
like the Great
Cynthia
Gatsby.
Nixon. That's not the turn of the century.
Is that not the early 1900s?
It's the 1920s during Prohibition, leading up to the Great Depression. The turn of the century is the late 1800s into the early 1900s.
Can you tell I only read the book once, and it's when it was like legally required for me to?
Yes. And it's like the Statue of Liberty hasn't been built yet in Gilded Age. Like
Gotcha.
they're currently the government is currently trying to raise the money to build the base. Anyways, can't take it seriously because they're saying very similar things to the way they talk in Bridgerton, but with American accents, and it just like does not compute for my brain. My brain just like stalls.
Yeah.
Also, it's very dark, although one of the characters is hot enough that I might keep watching it just for him.
Dark in like tone, or like it's shot as though they only had one candle on set?
No, in tone. So, spoiler alert for the most recent episode, but basically it's this big confrontation between old money and new money, kind of like The Great Gatsby in that sense, where there's like the old money, and they don't like the Rockefellers and the Morgans and the Vanderbilts and all that because they're new money off railroads. And one of the main families, who the last name I don't remember, it's something weird. I don't remember what it is. But basically, nobody wants to associate with the wife because she's married to new money, and they see her as beneath them. And so what the husband ends up doing is he does this weird thing with the stocks where he basically starts spending a buttload of money to buy up stocks in his own company to fuck over the stocks for people that are trying to block his railroad station in New York because he's trying to build like Grand Central or something like that. And so these men are literally 3 days away from like no longer having any money. And they're like rich like the Vanderbilts. Like they're like 3 days away from not having any money. One guy literally gets on his knees in front of this character and begs him to stop. And he says no, that he's not going to stop, even though he fully intends to. But since that guy doesn't know that he's just fucking with him, he goes home and shoots himself. He goes home and tells his wife that he literally walked into the house and tells his wife that everything's fine. I was like, he's going to go upstairs and blow his brains out. He's going to go upstairs and kill himself. And I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't want it. Why? And like the guy who did that, who's like the reason this railroad tycoon, that's the reason that's happened. So hot. And he's like, the only reason I'm still watching the show is because this man he's played by Morgan Spector and he's so good looking.
We've all watched a show that we probably weren't into just because a character or two were hot. I watched the pilot episode of Pretty Little Liars when it aired because I just got to see what it's about. I was like 14.
Literally started watching Bridgerton after I heard about the sex scenes. So
that's a new one for you.
I was curious. Everybody was like losing their mind about the sex scenes, and I was like, I've watched Netflix shows before. Like, how bananas can these sex scenes be? And I had only ever seen the women that were in the show. And then the Duke walked on screen. I went, oh, that's why everybody's losing their minds about the sex scenes. It's him.
I used to watch
this guy.
When I was first watching Shameless, like when I was getting into it, I would watch it like on my laptop in my dorm room. And then my roommates would, because I was next to the door, would just go to leave and then lean. They're like, "Are those tits?" I'd be like, "Dude, like we've all seen boobs before. This isn't even porn."
No, but it's just like it started. That's the thing, is he thought you might be watching porn, most likely.
Probably.
Because he just saw boobs and had no context and needed to know if he had to have a conversation with you about why it is not appropriate to watch porn in your shared environment.
Okay, listen, here's the thing. If I was just like doing my thing and watching porn in just the middle of my room with people there, that needs a conversation. But if I'm sitting down and like my hands are here and I'm just like evaluating the porn, I feel like that's creepier.
And it is. It's worse.
It's arguably worse.
Euphoria, there's a character who only watches the porn so that she can learn how to be better in bed, and it's really bananas. It's really bananas.
Remember being in high school?
I'm sure there are girls like that, though.
And there's men like that. I mean, all men were like that.
All right, but anyways, Bridgerton. Let's
Bridgerton.
hop in here.
The ton of Bridgers.
Ton of Bridgers. You're in episode 3, The Art of the Swoon. My first note is literally bare arm sex dream. Like, bare arm sex dream. This poor girl knows so little about sex that the idea of him just rubbing her bare arm turns her on.
She just knows that like something is weird. Like she feels something.
She feels something. It's like a 15-year-old when you like first get that like urge where you're like, ooh, there's something else I want to do here, but like I don't really know what it is yet. And
I'm not gonna comment on that.
Well, yeah, also the digital age has really messed that up. I'll say for girls, I would assume my experience was pretty...
I just feel like I've talked to different people of both genders that have had, like, different realizations about stuff at varying different ages.
Yes, but the concept... How many 17-year-olds do you think there are on the planet right now? I'm going to up this to 18 for the rest of the sentence. How many 18-year-olds do you think there are on the planet right now that don't even know that masturbation is a thing?
Oh, like 0.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
No. I meant like I meant more like I feel like 15 now, and even in the past might be like, I'm not gonna say old, but like I feel like people have realized like something's like I feel like by like age 12, people have been like, that's not just for peeing.
Maybe boys.
I think that's what it is. I think it's that with
I think there's
boys,
an anatomy
it's just
differentiation.
that like it's so obvious.
Yeah, it's like you can see it, we can't. So
Yeah.
like until you learn, like that's the thing is like when people have had poor sex education and they don't know that like you don't pee from the vagina. I don't necessarily get mad at them because how would they know that without being told? And I
Yes.
more get angry about the status of sex education in this
The other
country
reason
than
why
no.
I was gonna say the other reason why I don't get mad at it is because I think we have a vernacular and then a literal definition of vagina. This has gone way off
Exactly.
rails, but I do think just sometimes it's just easier to refer to everything down there for a woman
I
as the
straight up
vagina.
won't say the word that is supposed to refer to the whole thing because I don't like it.
Exactly, and like I understand that like the vagina is really just the canal. But it's like I'm not gonna be like, well, the labia
I understand
majora.
that, but when I have to use the technical terms and I can't use slang, please tell me I sent that to the right person. Yes. Okay.
I'm just saying, if you went into a doctor's office and you went, there's a problem with my vagina, and then you get in the stirrups and whatever, and he goes, actually, there's a problem with your labia minora, you'd be like, shut the fuck up.
The fuck up. I know. There's just an issue going on. Um, anyways.
Either way, yes, we have a full-grown woman just finding out that like she can feel horniness.
Yes. This isn't an important thing, but that ice cream place that they're at when I forgot about that spoon scene where he's like going at the spoon.
He's pulling a blessing Adeoye Jr. on that spoon.
Yes, he is. There we go. Yeah, literally though.
Yeah.
It's the same. Um, but Gunter's ice shop was like a real place that like was very popular for people who were courting to go and like you would walk Hyde Park and then stop at Gunter's and get some ice cream and like
It's not like still a real place.
I don't know. I wasn't in Hyde Park in that area of London very long when I was there, just because it was kind of like it. Imagine being down at like the Statue of Liberty, and that's where you're staying. How often you would get up to like the Upper East Side in Manhattan?
Fair
Like that's
enough.
kind of like the
Yeah.
distance.
And you were there for school, so it's not like you could have just chosen to go.
Yeah, we had free days, and like one of our free days, we went to Kensington Palace, which is in Hyde Park. So I've been in that whole Mayfair area, seen all those big white houses that are all lined up. It's really a beautiful area. It's just I had other things to do down in the theater district more because that's what I was there for.
Yeah.
Yes.
The arts and the culture.
Arts and literally, I just went to London for arts and culture. The spoon scene is great though.
Although it is funny that he's
Penelope.
trying to flirt in like this really sexual way, and she's like, "I don't know what this is. Why are
I
you
don't know what
eating
this
like
is.
that, you fucking weirdo?"
Literally.
But yes, Penelope.
Penelope is my sweet little angel, and how invested she is in George and Marina is so cute. Like the way she goes running down the stairs to the mail and is like the fucking footman's just standing there with his little tray. She's like looking for a
Running
letter.
with the speed of a high school senior on the honor roll. Like, am I accepted? Level of yeah.
Which is very pure and also me.
She's like if the whole Featherington estate was burning down, she's like, you have to save one person. That's the only one that should be saved.
It's Penny. You had to save Sweet Pen.
Yeah.
I love Penelope. I also like that. I don't know why this is funny to me because it's fucked up, but like that when Lady Featherington throws open the door and finds Penny and Marina like talking about how George hasn't responded yet, and she's like, "What did I tell you about being around the expectant?" That's such a weird thing to call a person.
Like, honestly, and I'm not advocating for the slut shaming, but just call her a whore. Who the fuck says expectant?
Yeah. Like I would almost rather you call her a harlot or like a fallen
Just do
woman.
it. I'd be like, oh, that's what bitches said back then. Like, that's what horrible people said to people. Like, just say it. Just expectant. I feel like if I referred to my wife like that, she'd shank me. My hypothetical
Yeah,
wife.
absolutely. Absolutely. I would murder somebody if they were like, "Oh, yes, this is the expectant." It's like that sounds like a cough medicine. Like
Ask your doctor about expectant.
ask your doctor about expectant.
I mean, maybe she'll laugh, but like I feel like by month 6, she'd be like, "I will stab you."
I'm going to ruin you if you don't shut the fuck up, you know?
Be like, noted.
We cut So then we have Daphne, who is playing out her sexual frustrations in this song that she's writing for Simon.
What a euphemism this piano has become.
Oh my god, I know, and they lean into it so hard in the script.
No, I mean, even later, the way they do it, a transition.
Yeah, like, it's so funny. It's so fucking funny. See our sweet baby Benedict sketching away. I think this is where he's sketching.
Yeah, he's trying to draw the hands.
And he's so hot. I love him so much. He's stunning. This is the beginning of the storyline where I think Benedict is going to become one of your favorite characters.
Yeah, I did have the realization yesterday of like, wait, why is he so afraid? And, I know we're going to get into more of the stuff once we actually get to that plot line, but it's like, why is he so afraid to have a hobby if he's a second son, where second son's not allowed to have artsy hobbies? Or artsy careers?
There was a stereotype about artists that second sons who became artists were
man whores?
Were man whores, or were gay, or like just were bad. Like, artists were not considered.
But he couldn't even have art as a hobby as a second son? Like, his hobby still had to be shooting?
He's also just like a little hard on himself, and also his older brother is Anthony, who at any given moment might suffer a nervous breakdown and he might have to become the Viscount. Like, I feel like for Benedict specifically, nobody has ever said to him, enjoy yourself, you're the second son, it's your brother's responsibility, because ever since their father has passed, Benedict's like, well, if Anthony goes, then it's on me. And all of a sudden we went from my father will die and Anthony will take the title and I'll be off doing my own thing, to Anthony is already the person, and if anything happens to him, it's all on me.
It's really
now,
Colin who's like, I'm safe. What's the chances that both of them
really
go?
Really, it's Gregory, the youngest boy, who's the seventh kid, who's like, I'm fine. Colin and him can do whatever they want.
That dude truly will never have to do anything in his entire life.
Which is probably why his book is so bad, but that's not true. It's just that, like, you don't spend a lot of time with Gregory in the books the way you do. So when you're in Daphne's book, you spend just as much time with Daphne as you do with Anthony, Colin, and Benedict. In Anthony's book, you spend a lot of time with Benedict, Colin, and Eloise. In Colin's book, a lot with Eloise. Benedict has a lot with Eloise. Eloise's book has a lot with Hyacinth and Francesca. Francesca's book has a lot with the sisters, just because that's like what you did, is you visited your sisters. That was like a whole like section of your life as a lady. During Colin, Eloise, Francesca, and Hyacinth's book, Gregory's away at Eton, so you don't see him at all. So you come into his book and you don't really have that familiarity.
Like, who's this motherfucker?
Yeah, exactly. And like the way they do in the show, which we'll talk about after you watch the whole first season, where they start to lay the groundwork for each other's sibling season. Hi.
So
I
was just gonna ask, whose season is season 2?
Anthony.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, so it's Daphne, Anthony, Benedict, Colin, Eloise, Francesca, Hyacinth, Gregory.
That's the order that the books go in.
Yeah, and that's the order the seasons are going in. So the next one's Anthony. And my sweet little babe, his love interest's name is Kate.
Don't ruin it, because then when she shows up...
I mean, all of the advertising is with Kate.
Oh.
So, like, they revealed her in the first look. Especially because Kate in the books is like a white blonde-haired woman, and they made Kate a Indian woman, which is very cool, and she's very pretty. Her and her sister. Yeah. I wrote "Bite Me, Anthony," and I don't know what that's I know what that's referring to. When Daphne and Violet are having that really passive-aggressive conversation, because Violet's like, "Why are you entertaining other gentlemen when like you have the Duke?" But Daphne knows what's really going on, so she's like, "The Duke hasn't proposed yet, so I'm keeping my options open." And Anthony, fucking behind her, way back here from the peanut gallery, goes, "Good idea, sister." It's like, shut the fuck up. Like, you're not allowed to comment on this anymore. You lost that right when you almost had me marry Nigel.
Yeah.
Like,
Rat Man.
You don't get a comment anymore.
I'm not gonna say I missed Rat Man, but like, it's disappointing that we don't get to talk about Rat Man.
So I really hope they give Ratman the ending he has in the books because it makes a weird amount of sense and it's like kind of nice. And like I when I read the line of like what ends up happening to Nigel, I was like, this is a good ending. This is a
Oh,
fun ending for
okay.
him. Um Also, I just lost my shit when Violet was like is talking to Daphne about like how you marry because Daphne was saying that like one of the guys was like had an ego. And Violet was like, I don't know why you worry yourself with such things. You just need to marry the one who feels like your dearest friend. And Daphne goes, oh, it's that simple, you know? And Violet just goes, yes, quite, and takes a sip of her tea. And it's like,
She's like, you're overthinking it.
bitch, what? Um, I don't know why I wrote roll out in all caps. Oh, I know why I wrote roll out in all caps.
This is fantastic. I will say, I both love and hate the simplification of just marry the one that, like, is your friend. Because I get what they're saying, is marry the one that, like, everything feels very natural with.
Yes. Don't analyze, but like the way she phrases it is just funny.
Yeah.
So now we are attending the Summerset House, which is an art house, kind of. It's like an old mansion that they show art in, and members of society would like donate art pieces that like their parents or grandparents had in the collection that they didn't really like and wanted to get rid of. They would donate those.
Now,
And it
this
would
one
be
was
like
interesting because it looks like you brought everybody of all ages.
yes. So like things like art, things that happen in Box Hill Park, things that happen in Hyde Park, like big events like that, you could bring all ages. You could bring like the whole family because you were like exposing them to culture and shit like that.
Gotcha.
Um,
Is that with like, is that when like the mom with a 16-year-old son and a 13-year-old daughter would like start planning to be like, listen, we could do this from now? Yeah.
yes. Also, it's if you could line it up with your governess would be able to do certain lessons on history and all that kind of stuff with them. While you were there. Why I wrote roll out though is I love that Violet comes in and she has Anthony's arm in a death grip and just starts naming women about the room. It's like Daphne's all sorted away, so now I'm on you, you dumb bitch.
She's like, oh, don't think I forgot. You think I can't multitask?
Don't think I forgot. I know. And he's like he makes his like snide comment about how he could have stayed home and read Lady Whistledown to like
If he
get
wanted
all
all
this
the dirt.
information.
Yeah.
And then she reaches behind her to try and grab Benedict, and he's like, no, 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 no. And like just charges past her. And so Colin just gets dragged off.
Poor
Because he like
Colin.
didn't know what was going on. Colin literally just always runs into trouble because he doesn't know what's going on and is just the last one standing.
Yeah.
Like
something very funny with Colin that I will mention later when we get to it.
yeah.
Yeah. Not like something that happened. There was something that I thought that I will have to explain, and I feel like you're going to laugh. But you know, the art part was fun.
No, it's fun. Wherever they are at this moment.
Poor. Oh, fuck, why do I forget her name? The expectant. What's her name?
Marina.
Marina. Okay. Poor Marina being just introduced to the oldest, grimiest Ben Franklin looking motherfuckers on the continent. They're not even giving her like a silver fox. They're like, no. Because the silver fox would be snatched up.
It has to be men that like don't care because they just want that baby.
So here's my question. Are these men that have literally gone this long without having married yet? Or are they like, my wife died and it's time for number 2?
It's usually that. It's usually either that like they went that long without getting married because, especially with men that old, they may have been revolution.
That's true. They could be veterans.
And have not been in
because I did the math just because I was
period.
curious after I watched the first couple episodes. The revolution at this point was only 37 years ago.
Exactly.
That is not that like Violet probably remembers the revolution.
Violet is alive during the. Okay, so there's a prequel series to Bridgerton that's actually being adapted into a Netflix show.
About Violet in the 13 colonies.
No. It's Violet. The first book is called Because of Miss Bridgerton, and it's Edmund Bridgerton, the Bridgerton kid's father that is now deceased, his sister is the heroine of that book and marries a man that the Bridgertons have been friends with for a very long time from the Rothsky family. And the whole series is about the Rothskys family, the way the Bridgerton series is about the Bridgertons. That one's about this other family that is like loosely connected to the Bridgertons, but it's a whole generation before. One of the books, the entire first half, takes place in America during the Revolutionary War.
Wow.
Yeah, because one of the guys is one of the second son is serving.
So if that is very realistic for these men.
Yeah, so like in this time frame, it could be that like at the time they were spending their early 20s in America fighting, and
then they had to do all the culture stuff after.
Yeah, they had to come back, and then they're getting into society, and then they may have gotten a first wife that never had a kid and ended up dying, or they were just such terrible people that nobody wanted to marry them, and they were okay being able to go to brothels where they could hit women and no one really did anything about it. Not that people really did things if you hit your wife, but whatever, you get my point.
Wasn't the past great?
Or it's men that have been married and that wife gave them kids, but she gave them him all daughters.
Bitch.
And she died, and so now he's trying to remarry to try and get that son. I do at this ball enjoy when Daphne and Simon are having that back and forth about like when the prince first walks in and how the women will like flirt.
Yeah, and they're like,
and I love that Daphne is whispering. Simon is just yelling.
Yeah, he's just speaking. She's like, I think he's gonna, and he's like, yeah, no, he's gonna say this.
Yeah, and I was like, you're like 3, and then you go forward a little bit, and the guy comes up to ask Daphne to dance in front of Simon, so Simon sees the women watching him, and they're about to grab him when this guy takes Daphne, and so he very loudly yells and is like, do I have to share you with every dandy here? Like, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, the fact that you're yelling is making this unbelievable.
LeighErin, keep talking. I just had a realization about something that I cannot say, so I'm just going to text you.
Okay. I just think this entire scene is one of my favorite scenes in all of Bridgerton, just because Simon yelling is so goddamn funny to me. Because he literally, it's the most conspicuous thing I've ever seen. Is just like this man screaming, like looking at the women that are about to come to him, yelling that like he doesn't want to share Daphne with a dandy, and it's like, eh.
Yeah, no, the prince was a character.
Oh God, the prince.
Yeah.
And it's not his fault. It's not his fault.
Is it not? Because like, I don't know.
His accent is accurate. That's a Prussian accent.
Why the fuck do they sound like that?
Because they're in between Germany. They're influenced by Russia, Germany, Austria, and France.
Yeah, but they sounded like they sounded like the character from Frozen that's like big summer blowout.
And that's inspired by like Scandinavian, Austrian, Swedish areas. It's all that Germanic influence. Where his accent and the language isn't quite French, but it's not quite German, and like
so you just get the worst of both worlds.
Yeah. Her like Cressida, however the fuck you say that girl's name.
Yeah, whatever. The one who looks like a German. With the way she styles her hair with, like, the braids and...
Yeah, the crazy, like, cages. But the way she, like, dusts her fan across her boobs, I'm like, this is so weird.
And it's supposed to be like, hey, look here.
It was supposed to be you held it here and fluttered it, and it drew the eyes down just because of movement, not brushing them across your tits. Like,
yeah, at that point, you might as well just go, like...
Oh!
You don't do that. Nope. Actually, you know what? We need a thumbnail.
I also love in this scene when Daphne goes off to dance with these other guys, and she asks one of the men if they like the country or the city more, and he's like, I don't know, I haven't really thought about it. And she's like,
this? I thought we were still
that was at this ball. No. I got confused. We're at a ball, not art yet. We're not at the art place yet.
The prince didn't walk in at the art place?
No, he comes in at a ball first, and then he comes in at the art place.
Okay, because you mentioned the art place. He meets
Daphne at this, because I got confused.
Okay.
They go to a lot of events.
I thought it was the same scene. I don't know why. Because, like, she goes, talks to the prince, and then she goes, sees him, then she leaves to sneak off to see Simon.
That hasn't happened yet. So they all come in together. It's just Violet, the boys, and Daphne. Daphne goes off to meet Simon, and that's when Violet's trying to introduce her sons to people. That's at the ball. The prince walks in with the queen, meets Cressida, how the fuck you say that girl's name?
The bitchy German-looking one.
Yeah. She meets the prince. Simon and Daphne have their little back and forth, and Simon says to her, he's here to tell every woman that her gown looks exquisite. And then the prince walks over and says the exact same thing to Daphne. That's when Daphne snorts, and Simon just loses his shit.
Feel like, here's the thing, though. I feel like Daphne may not be the quickest on her feet, because I feel like that's very easy to play off as just like, oh my god, like he's talking to me. Ooh.
Yeah, but the snort is the problem. A lady does not snort.
That you can't control.
It's so funny.
Like, if she left it as, if it was still a giggle, she very much could have played it off.
Yeah, it's just so fucking... It also doesn't help that she snorts and Simon audibly starts laughing behind the queen. Like, Simon just doesn't give a fuck. Yeah. And so then she goes off to dance with the other guys, and...
That's when she's like, wow, none of these men have ever thought about anything ever.
No. But when she asks the guy, well, where would you prefer to raise your family? Would you prefer to raise them in the country or here in London? And he goes, I never thought about that. It's the most male response I've ever heard.
I will say, if you were to sit me down and ask me like questions about what I want in my future, you will get either very specific answers or, I really did not consider that.
Yeah, it's like, oh. And it's just like, that's what I mean, is it's such a male answer to be like, of course I would have thought about like whether I want to live in the city or country. Like, that's something Daphne would have thought of. It's such a male answer that she asked this guy, and he's like, I don't know.
I mean, don't you get to switch between both?
Yes, traditionally you raised your family in your country home, though it only came into London for the season. Don't ask me why, I don't really know.
Because they were rich and had money to spare.
It's also, I do actually know. So the season ends in July, August, depending on how well Parliament is doing. So you were going back to your country home to oversee the harvest of all of your tenants. And do with all that crap.
Gotcha. Yeah, and then she asked the other dude, and he's like, oh, well, my mom's gonna come live with me. She's like,
Oh, yeah. Okay. And comments on that guy, but first, you get the one guy who keeps talking about how big his ancestral home is.
And you're like, part of me is like, are you talking about a home?
I literally wrote, I have a feeling he uses his ancestral home to compensate.
You know, the ancestral home is bigger than average. It's like, bigger than 5 inches?
Is it? My mommy will come live with us, too.
And here's the problem with that line. He doesn't
Just what?
Well, it's just like, he doesn't say it with the like, whoa, well, my father has passed and it is my responsibility to take care of my mother. It's like that thing, like, I always think about this when Cinema Sins sinned that one part in My Big Fat Greek Wedding where he's like, why is she upset that her parents are doing one of the most honorable things an adult can do? It's like, yes, this is an elderly person I am bringing to my home. He goes, no, like, my mom's just going to come live with us. And it's like, oh, I
love that Daphne goes,
what did your father think of that?
What did your father think? Oh, it was his idea. I'm like, oh no, like, that says so much.
That says a lot on all three of them. The son, the mom, the dad. Because if he went, my dad has passed, I'd be like, this makes a little more sense.
Makes a little more sense. And that was something that men would do sometimes. So like, if say your father passed, you became the man of the family, you were married, so it was like your right to move into your ancestral home. Some men would allow their mother and sisters to continue living there. Others would like put them up in a separate home or even put them up in London, and they would just be in London year round depending on the age of your sisters.
Or like a guest home, like on the property, but like separate.
Yeah, like kind of stuff like that. Some it depended on how close you were with your family. But regardless, right after you were married, usually for like 6 months, your family wouldn't live with you because the assumption was that you were just boning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spend 3 months learning how to do it, and then 3 months doing it.
God.
Allegedly.
Also, when they were just going back and forth about the men, I was like, this is just Jordan and me talking shit.
Oh, yeah. Literally, even the part where they're like, oh, I bet you he's going to go in and say this. Was me and you.
Yeah. And I love it. So then we get to Sienna. See Sienna again.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought we had seen the rest of. Like, I thought we were not gonna see her again. I'm not saying I wished we had. I'm just
Anthony's
saying.
got issues.
What?
Anthony's got issues.
Well, also, does the French dresser, like the French woman who makes the dress, is she not really French? Is that the whole point? Her accent drops once Sienna walks in.
Oh, there's a very proper way that she has to talk in front of her customers, and it can fall into like she's like a French British lady. Like,
And so
she's
she
both.
ups the French for the customers because it like helps with the
Yeah.
brand.
Well, because and speaking in a Cockney accent was considered dirty. Like you were less than. So like if you wanted
I
to
thought
work
Cockney
serving
was the fancy
gentlewomen,
one.
no, Cockney is the annoying one. Posh is the fancy one.
Gotcha. Cockney's the Michael Caine one, right?
No, that's posh. Or actually, Michael Caine is kind of his own.
You have Cockney,
brand.
you have Fosh, you have Michael Caine.
A newsboy, like an annoying newsboy, or like the maids in Downton Abbey. That's Cockney. Posh is proper.
Oh, Cockney's like the stereotypical one. That's like the like, oi, governor! Like just the really
Yes.
annoying, like the Greg Miller way of making fun of Gary Wood of Cockney, yeah.
Yes, that's Cockney. But we cut back to Sienna because Anthony's just
Down
can't stay
bad.
away. And God, her titties are pushed so far up in that dress. Oh, because they're at the opera and she's like singing and her titties are like out of her dress. I'd be worried about a nip slip. I know later on she talks to Simon about like what she thinks about while she's singing. I'd be concerned that my boobs were gonna fall
Yeah.
out and that we were about to have a problem.
She's gonna be the ye old Janet Jackson.
Literally. I also enjoy the scene between so we're at the opera very briefly because the prince is there and it's just more of the prince being desirable.
And weird.
And we cut to the club and we get the first. I told you that you were going to find out soon that Lord Featherington is not a good guy.
I never assumed he was a good guy. Just the first 2 episodes make him look like he is tapped out.
He is gone. Nothing is up there. No, he's got a gambling problem.
Yeah, and yeah. Which is also, I feel like, the men have a very, very weird relationship with each other, I feel, where it's like the women kind of have to acknowledge the rivalry between them, and then the men just ignore it, and then it's even weirder where it's like there's a cross generation, like Anthony and Mr. Featherington or Lord Featherington have to look at each other and be like, your daughters and my sisters are all in the same competition for like the best dick in the country, and we're just gonna ignore that, and you're gonna give me $10.
Yeah, and it's kind of just because the politics of it. So you couldn't be openly rivaling with other men because you were all men sitting in parliament. Like at a certain point, like, and especially the clubs that they're at. So the clubs were divided between the 2 political parties. There was, I think, one called St. James that was for the Whigs, and then there was, or no, for the
I know currently
St.
they
James
have
was for the
Tories and the Labour. That is the current British political parties, the Tories and the Labour Party.
At the time, it was the Tories and the Whigs, and St. James was the Conservative Party club, and White's was the more Liberal Party club.
So then that also means it's safe to assume that like all the characters we see in the show, since they're part of the same club, they are politically the same. So they actually might have to be politically aligned.
Exactly. And so then you
And
can't
now what
get
happened
into rivalry.
if that somebody wanted to have somebody from high society but of the opposite political party? Would that become an issue?
Because especially it's your daughter. Well, now your daughter, who she's married to, like their politics don't really matter.
Yeah.
But I love that Anthony's like, because Anthony goes over to Simon. He's like, I misjudged you. I'm sorry. And I didn't realize that you literally just wanted to be friends with my sister. And he was like, but I have to ask, what are your intentions right now? And Simon's basically like, am I not allowed to have a friend, Anthony? Can I not have friends outside of you? Like, am I only allowed to be with you? Like, come on, damn, dude. Like, Simon just wants a friend.
Aw, Simon.
No. Then Sienna walks in. He's out.
And Anthony's like,
Ready.
fuck this shit, I'm out.
then watches her like a sociopath.
Yeah.
Just stands on the other side of the room like,
This was the moment where I was like, oh, last week you said he needed the Xanax the size of a potato. This time he needs like 2. Because he literally looks like he's going to pop that collar and explode.
yep. Then I will give Sienna, she is good because she knows to go right to Simon.
And she knew that who Simon was, right?
I don't know if she realized that they were BFFs, but like she knew they were friends.
Gotcha.
Um,
See, and I thought
then-
Anthony's bigger concern was going to be, which he never really even says it, like, I don't care if you're banging the same mistress I had. I care because you're allegedly courting my sister.
It's also that it's the same mistress he had and he's in love with Sienna.
But I thought he was going to put the emphasis on the other part. Because you told me that they used to share mistresses, which is a whole other conversation.
It's so gross. So gross. I can never imagine a situation where it's comfortable to be like, hey, I know that you used to be banging such and such. I'm banging her now. She's good, right, bro? Like, it's so weird. Like, that's such a weird concept.
Like there's like, I think the closest possible thing is like, if in college, like, you know, somebody used to hook up with someone, you're kind of friends with them, they're like, nah, man, like, we ended, it's cool. Like, if you're into her, you could go ahead.
But that's not like,
that's not the same as like, yeah, that's
no.
not like, hey, I'm done with her. I'm settling down, but if you need a good one,
This also
10
has
out of
nothing to do
10,
with-
9 out of 10 dentists recommend that mouth.
Oh my god. This has nothing to do with the plot. It's just a me thing. Thank God Anthony's mutton chops are going to be gone for season 2.
Oh, they
I
are?
hate them
Why?
so much. Yeah, in
Are
all
they
the promo, I don't know, but in all the promo photos, he doesn't have mutton chops.
Are they no longer
They don't
historically
come
accurate?
as far in.
Are they no longer historically accurate?
Maybe? I don't really know. I just hate mutton chops. I think they look dumb.
I've
everyone.
literally only ever seen one man be able to pull off mutton chops, and it is Hugh Jackman. I'm being serious. Hugh Jackman with the Wolverine muffin chops, like, it's workable. It's also, I think that he has them go so far you almost don't realize they're not connected.
Yeah. Also, I need to bring up a couple of text messages that I screenshotted last night that Jordan sent me while watching the show. The first one was about Daphne's sex dream in the very beginning, the arm sex dream. He went, ooh, she had a sex dream. To the stocks with the whore. She has ruined this family, in parentheses, afterwards.
Wait, what did I say after that, though?
Oh, shit. I don't know. I only took a picture of that part.
Oh, I said, I don't know if they still had stocks. What did I say?
I don't know if they still had stocks, but oh, there it is. Oh no, it's not. Wait, hang on. Fuck. There we go. I have no idea if they still used stocks back then, but please don't correct me if they didn't.
Yeah, I really just like to imagine that, like, they did. I'm sorry.
No.
I mean, plus the guillotine was used, like, as recently as 1976, so, you know.
The French Revolution had just ended. Like, in Bridgerton timeline, the French Revolution had just ended.
Yeah, so I feel like stocks maybe were still being used somewhere.
The stove scene is very funny to me. It's not that funny, but just the shot of them both staring at this giant...
It's so fun, because there's like 4
stove,
seconds of them not saying anything. And it's
Daphne's just holding 2 bottles of milk. Like,
and it's not even one of those things where I'm like, you guys are pathetic, where I'm like, yeah, you truly would not know.
no. Would not know how to turn on the stove.
Especially because
And
back
then
then
they're
it
just
wasn't
like-
like, I feel like I could bring somebody who has never seen a stove, and with enough time, they like, and like safety,
Figure out, turn
they
the
could
knob
figure
or
out,
press the
turn
button.
it, and maybe hold it for the fire to show up.
Yeah, with this, it was you actually had to light and stoke a fire and all this other shit. And then they go, fuck it, we're just going to drink from daddy's cup. And it's weird.
What?
You never heard that drinking from the bottle is called drinking from daddy's cup? Have you never heard that before?
No, that's horrible.
Yeah, I don't know where I learned that, but like, it was sometime while I was in college, somebody like told me that like when you drink from the bottle, it's called drinking from daddy's cup. To be honest, when I wrote it last night, I assumed you were the one who told me.
I mean,
Sorry.
honestly, I've never heard it before, but there's a good chance someone at my dad's liquor store said it once. I told you, and I forgot about it. But damn, we need a psychological evaluation on the guy who invented that term.
Drinking from the bottle, daddy's cup. Sorry, I'm Googling it.
No, but the way you word it and then just daddy's cup. Oh man. I had to get out of frame. I almost spit my tea out.
Yeah, it's right on the top thing is Urban Dictionary, daddy's cup. When your dad says he's only gonna have one drink, but he drinks from the bottle until it's empty, that's daddy's cup, daddy's drunk again. I don't know. I didn't come up with it.
I'm not saying you did.
Oh god.
No. I hate it.
Okay, now we're at the art gallery, and this whole scene with Anthony, Violet, and Benedict being like, "Nope, bye, bitch." Like,
yeah.
Now we're there. I love Marina being introduced to this man, and she just grabs onto Penelope and is like, "Leave me, don't leave." And fucking Lady Featherington calls her meddling, calls her something. She calls her like a meddling imposter or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Because Penelope just sees Marina needs help, books it over, leaves Eloise in the dust.
And that one dude's like, "You're rude."
Yeah, which also, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Like,
also, did they have Viagra back then? Like, some of these men are old.
Oh.
Huh. Good for them. I mean, like, they're horrible people, probably, but, like, if they could still get it up, like, good on you, buddy.
But you also have to remember, realistically, they're probably only 50-something. They just haven't really taken care of themselves.
That's true.
The way Lady Danbury sets Benedict up is so goddamn funny.
She's like, yeah. It's almost like you want to ask the artist.
Yeah, and I love Benedict is so confident and goes, "Well, that would be something, wouldn't it?" And she's like, "Well, what do you think?"
And then she fucks off.
And they're just like, "Bye."
So yeah, this goes back to what I was asking before. This dude, like, it sounds like he's part of society because he's a second son, assuming.
He's a second son. Yes.
Do people look down on him, or does he do appropriate art as far as the public's concerned?
And does appropriate art. You will see. So this in the next episode when we're in his home with all the naked ladies. That is not the last you will see of this man's home.
Good.
You will.
Is he also who you went when I called you yesterday? You're like, in about 30 minutes, you will find your new favorite character. Is that who you were referring to?
Kind of, because I thought something happened in this episode that didn't.
Okay.
I thought there was a party scene that happens with that guy in this episode, and that the duel was the next episode, and I got those switched.
Gotcha.
Okay, the prince. I got a lot of notes about the prince.
We all got a lot of notes about the prince.
His muffin chops.
Muffin chops, new from Dunkin'
His
Donuts.
muffin chops are so fluffy. Why are they so fluffy?
They're not. They're like curly. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Like, listen, my beard's a little unkempt right now. I'll put my hair back for this. Like, my beard is a little more unkempt. I gotta trim it. Like, my hair looks like
fluffy.
But it's not like the dude looks like he's got pubes on his face. Like,
I wasn't gonna say it.
I'll say it. I don't care. I have said worse. I said worse 10 minutes ago, probably. Like, the dude looks like he's got a merkin on his cheeks. Like, they're curly. Like, they're real curly. Also, it's like he's blonde. Like, he's blonde, and then most of his mutton chops are blonded, then some of them are brown.
I have a feeling that's how they made them, unfortunately.
Yeah. Like, I also, my beard's a couple shades lighter than my hair, but, like, it's consistently a couple shades lighter. This dude suddenly starts growing brown here. And it's like the rest of you is blonde. You are, like, the Aryan race mascot here.
My guess is that his head hair is a wig, and that what's brown is
his natural hair.
He grew in his actual facial hair to blend with the wig and the hair pieces on his face.
I feel like that looks worse.
Yeah. So Daphne talks to him and then's like, "Bye, I'm gonna go into this different room with Simon because I had a sex dream about him."
Oh yeah. Well, she doesn't know that she had a sex dream. She had a dancing dream with him.
Yes. I like very much when I think it's It's Daphne. It's like, pride is a sin, my lord. And it's like, pride is a sin. That sounds like me talking to you.
Yeah, she's like,
when I like,
but she kind of says it sarcastically. She goes, pride's a sin. And he goes,
sin.
well, it's one of the lesser sins. We all have to start somewhere, implying like, I'm going to make you really sin.
And then we get that little hand touch, which I wrote a John Mulaney quote. We don't have time to unpack all of that. That hand touch is so much.
They led up to that hand touch like the way a movie leads up to a kiss in the final act that you've been waiting for since scene one.
Because that's the whole thing, is that they can't kiss. They can only touch.
Barely.
So then we is this where? Yeah. Walk back in. Cressida has pretended to swoon. She is in the prince's arms. Just like... And Eloise's face in the background is so goddamn funny.
The thing is, when I hear swoon, I imagine you fall like a tiny bit and like, boom, you're in their arms. Like it's almost like a dip in a dance.
Okay.
She
the whole
is
movement.
On the floor, like shorty got low.
And that's not fully her fault. So what the idea, the art of the swoon, what the episode is called and what Lady Whistledown talks about, is you would drop, but the idea is that you are unconscious. So like you have to kind of deadweight yourself.
Yeah, so
a lot of the time you fall into the guy and he kind of has to bring you down to the ground because like...
And this was a thing that you were just supposed to train to fake faint for attention?
For attention, to get out of awkward situations, to get out of dealing with shit you didn't want to do.
Okay, now did men realize this was something women were being trained to do, or did they have to assume there was a medical emergency every time?
They had to assume that they had just fainted from either being too hot or being overwhelmed, you have to remember at this time they thought women just passed out from being like excited.
Well, that's what I was about to say, is I almost feel as though like the art of the swoon might be some of the reason sexism has lasted as long as it has. Because if I know nothing about medicine, hell, doctors barely knew about medicine back then, let alone me, you know. And I just finding out girls faint for like no reasons whatsoever. I'm like, they can never do anything. Work? The fuck you mean work?
Why.
Yeah.
That's literally why, is that it like women were fainting because of corsets. Instead of going, hey, tightening your rib cage and your stomach and compressing your lungs and moving your organs with this weird garment with whale bones in it, is causing them to not be able to breathe as well, so they're losing oxygen.
In the summer before the invention of air conditioning.
Yes. It's causing them to pass out. Doctors just saw it as, oh, women get overexcited. And it's no, they're overheating and then can't breathe because of the corsets. And the corset is trapping in all of the hot air. And so the hot air coming off of your body, that's just how your body runs, can't cool down. And so you were fainting. That became a thing that women just faint. And then women were basically like, fuck, if you guys think that we just faint because we're weak, we're going to use that to our...
Yeah. Natasha Leggero, I had to look up her last name. She has a joke saying that she wishes she can go back to like the 1800s just so she can faint and get what she wants anytime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was also a way to force more intimate contact, because a gentleman would never abandon a woman who would just faint. So like you're forcing personal time.
It's like nobody's looking at it in the touching sense, because in that case it's like a medical thing.
Yeah. And you're being a gentleman because you're taking care of this woman.
Yeah. I
just love that. Everybody knows it's fake, including Eloise, but everybody else is pretending to be concerned, and Eloise just looks at Daphne and is like, what the fuck is happening?
Oh, God.
And we get Regency era scared straight. Where fucking Lady Featherington takes Marina. And it's such an out of touch thing. It would be like... I know it's because of the clothes and because of just how society worked back then, and why this looks so out of touch. But them going down in their gowns and their velvet capes in these bright colors.
I was going to text you, like, I have never seen a scene in any fantasy movie, period piece, whatever thing, where somebody steps out of a carriage with a cloak like that into a neighborhood like this and it end well.
Exactly. I was like, hey, I know they have like 6 footmen with them and that's so they don't get robbed, but like...
Oh, I don't even mean that. It's just like, usually that's like something the villain does.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like Lady Featherington. I wouldn't
Yes,
call
but
her
Marina
not
isn't
good.
necessarily a villain either.
No, but she did not choose to go there.
No, but still, she's got the cloak too, and I'm like, I feel like they're gonna throw a little bag full of coins to somebody, and they're gonna be like, "I'll have her dead tomorrow."
The other reason, though, that the hoods are up is because if they were seen down there, that would be a massive scandal. So, like, your identity. But you also are riding in with a carriage and 6 footmen. Like, you're asking to get robbed at this point. Um, and then, and okay, here's the thing. I understand where Lady Featherington is coming from with this and saying that I don't think you're understanding
What's gonna happen if you have this baby and this
what
dude's
could
not here?
happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, if this dude isn't here. And I think she is correct in when she says men very often will profess love when they want to make love, but very rarely stick around once they have
once the
are
consequences of lovemaking or something like that. Once they have to deal with the
yeah.
consequence of lovemaking.
Basically it comes down to men run away from pregnancy always and forever. And you're gonna be left with it. And I think
They pull a
Marina
Danny
is
Phantom.
a little
I'm going ghost.
and I think Marina is a little naive. Not that like George is going to leave her, but like George is at war. I'm not saying George is a liar. I'm saying George is at war. So like the chances of just death are
And
pretty
like,
high.
you know, they didn't have actual plan B back then, so maybe you gotta have plan B be the old dude.
Yeah, and
Plus, like, I don't know. Have the baby, let him think he has an heir, and then fucking put arsenic in his tea. Everybody did it.
or just wait until he offs himself. Like
Yeah, but then you have people like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking of the Queen, but like I feel like people in England live a little bit longer than you expect them to. But also, she hasn't been seen for months. I think they're lying to us.
she literally just had a public event 2 days ago.
I heard that like it's been a while since we've seen her though, right?
No, she literally just did a public event for some holiday.
But I'm
I
saying
don't know what it was.
before that.
Yeah, no, she's alive though. She has been seen in public because this was a whole fucking thing that she said that she would allow Camilla to be Queen Camilla when she dies, which is like a huge thing and people are really mad about because people don't like Camilla.
Who's Camilla?
Camilla is what's his nuts new wife after that's the one he cheated on Diana with.
Oh, Charles.
Thank you. I couldn't think of his name.
But wait, he doesn't become king?
Become king, but the queen gets to make the decision on whether or not Camilla could be called queen because she's not British and she's a divorcee.
Oh.
Because she's American.
So who else would it have gone to? Like if she was like
Nobody. She just would have been his like
she would have been
consort.
the king's wife, but not the queen.
Yeah, exactly. And so she'd come out in this public appearance.
Also, isn't she technically a princess? Because like Philip was Prince Philip. He wasn't the king because he wasn't part of the bloodline. So I thought the king and queen title only went to the bloodline. So
she's
like
not a princess.
But why
Diana was a princess. Camilla is not because she's an American divorcee.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So both of them took after their father. One of them cheated and one of them took an American divorcee.
Okay, that is different. That is very different. Camilla and
just
Meghan
he did it all in one. He made it like it's like and then they each took very different lessons.
The more that comes out about him, the more I think that Prince William has not fallen far from the royal tree, but Prince Harry very clearly like fuck you guys. But yeah, that was the whole big to-do, is that like everybody was like, oh, it's just like Camilla and she's not white, how dare he. So now Simon and Daphne are promenading with Lady Danbury and Violet. Simon and Daphne are talking about how Anthony and him were really good friends. The fact that Anthony released a farm animal in their dormitory is hilarious.
That is the type of conversations like if my sister was to sit down with just some of my friends in like a non-courting way and they're like, guess what Jordan did one time? Like they'd be like, what the fuck?
What I think is awful is that guess what Anthony did one time? He released a farm animal in our dormitory as a prank to me, and then I had to help him get it back out.
Like
Prank was not my idea.
I had to clean up his prank.
Oh, that was against me.
That was against me, yeah. I feel as though that's part of the prank is, oh, now you have to help me or this animal becomes your new roommate.
I also love Simon is just having a great time in this scene. Because then when Daphne's like talking to him about how Violet was like, you should just marry your dearest friend, Simon's like, oh, so I should marry Anthony? And she's like, no, that's not what anyone was saying.
Haha, JK, unless.
JK, unless.
That's why Anthony's so upset. Oh my god.
And I love this entire scene where Simon is talking to Daphne because
I love it, and then I start to hate it real quick.
Because he's just like, he's obviously, women and men are not supposed to talk about this, especially women and men who are courting. And I love that Simon's like, fine, I'll talk to you about this. I'll explain it to you. And also is like, I hate that moms don't tell you this stuff. Like, why?
Which, fair.
And then, I love that Simon assumes that she masturbates.
You just found out 5 minutes ago she does not know what sex is.
Sex
also,
is as an entire concept.
Why did he, when he went physical and intangible, and she went, how can something be both? I feel like a very easy response is, no, I'm saying that there are some things that are physical and there are some things that are intangible and both are important.
I also feel like sex is both a physical thing and an intangible thing.
I don't know, it's pretty tangible to me.
Yeah, but when you're like, I don't know, when you're
like we said earlier, you know, there's an external anatomy thing, it's very tangible for men.
Sorry.
It's fine. I was making a great joke while whatever fucking shit was happening outside your door.
But I just love that he like assumes she masturbates and then is mind-boggled to find out that she doesn't.
It's like, dude.
It's like, sir, like, why are you surprised? Like,
weird question. What did they think their periods were for? Were they just like, this is a thing that happens, deal with it? Like, there's no explanation as to why your body does this?
It basically meant you were of age, you could marry, and you could have children, but they left it at that. They didn't go into, like, the nitty-gritty of, like, why it meant you can now have kids.
So they knew it had something to do with childbearing, but that's where it began and ended.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure there's a whole fucking thing about how, pretty sure there's like a whole like fucking thing about how like women couldn't come out if they hadn't had their period yet or something like that. I don't really know. I also have to bring up another text message that Jordan sent me because obviously one of the first things that we cut to is Daphne
in her bedroom.
What masturbation is in her bedroom.
She's fucking deadbolting that door.
Yes. Jordan texts me and goes, am I going to have to watch an adult woman learn how to masturbate for the first time? And I went, yes. And he goes, well, she figured it out quickly. And I'm going to say to you now what I said in the text message. Once you're pointed in the right direction, it's pretty easy to figure it out. It's just that first step in that direction.
Yeah, and also, like, for speaking in euphemisms, Simon gave pretty detailed instructions.
Well, because, like, if you're, like, touch between your legs until you like it, like, that's
and then when you like it, just keep going, and you'll know when you're done.
Yeah, like, that's pretty clear instruction, even though it's not very definite.
Yeah. But it was just like, I was just like, oh, are we going to have to watch this, like, happen for the first time? Because, like, I think there's a scene in some fucking movie Aubrey Plaza was in where, like, she's in bed. Like, this was a whole thing that she did an interview on where, like, the show takes place in the movie takes place in the 90s. So she's, like, masturbating wearing, like, a Clinton for President t-shirt. But, like, her character was supposed to be awkward, so she's doing it weirdly.
God.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't want to have to see this. Because it's also, like, it's kind of sad at a certain age.
Yeah, so we cut to
yeah, so
we Simon are in this carriage.
Well, no, see, I was gonna say, oh yes, okay, there's the carriage, then there's Daphne learning to touch herself.
Yes, I just like that Lady Danbury doesn't say, "Hey, I want to talk to you about something." Just smacks him with the cane.
With the metal part of the cane.
Fine.
On the knee, which also could have come back to bite her because that's a reflex.
Yeah. Just like that, he's just like, ow, what the fuck?
She's like, what you doing here?
what are you doing? What's your plan here, my man? Because like, and she's right. Like, he very much is standing in her way and knows, and is like the responsible party in this one, and the one who knows more than Daphne does. Fucked up to like stand in her way, but the way Simon takes it, just
Yeah, then you go. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, you still haven't realized you liked her. That's what's happening here.
yeah.
Or I feel like
Or even he knows he loves
I think
her.
he's starting to realize.
Like, I'm still too
I
mad
think
at
this.
Daddy.
I think the second he goes, I'm fucking off out of the country, is when I'm like, oh, you know.
Time to run from my feelings.
Honestly, that's why I want to be rich. I want to have the ability to get on a plane and fuck off every time there's something I don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
This is the true wealth gap in America.
I also like that Benedict just wants to like just chill. Like, because this is where we get the second Eloise smoking outside scene.
She's like,
she like takes a hit and hears somebody's like like trying to get rid of it, and then turns. It's just Benedict. She's like, oh.
What was the view on women smoking? Was that like a men's thing?
Women were not supposed to smoke.
Okay.
At all.
Ever.
No. Women did not smoke. You did not smoke. Benedict's like, I'm just out here to vibe. Smoke your cigarettes. I don't give a fuck. I also like the part where he's like, Eloise, are you Lady Whistledown? Like, it's just so funny the way he says it to her.
Which, like, honestly, when he said it, I was like, that would make a weird amount of sense. And I called you last night giving you my prediction on who I think Lady Whistledown is. And now it's becoming a thing that I'm like, I want to know. I'm like very invested in this B plot. Not gonna lie.
That's fine. I mean, and I'm really excited to see the second season knowing who Lady Whistledown is.
Now, in the books, is Lady Whistledown the same person that she is in the show? Okay.
They kept it. I think it's because it makes the most sense. Once you find out, like, the clouds clear, and you're like, oh, of course it was
them.
No. It is the same in the book, and we'll talk about that more in the last episode, because I'll talk to you about a few things that happen in the book, because I know you're never going to read the books, and I'm not telling you.
Wait, do we not find out till the last episode?
Very last episode, the last 2 minutes, you find out.
Oh, fuck me.
Is the last scene of the first season, you find out who Lady Whistledown is. You will almost find out like 3 times before that, and but they make you wait until the end.
Damn, they're edging.
So
me.
Yeah.
You're finding that way too funny.
Well, I wasn't what I expected you to say. So yes, now we are back outside Gunter's ice shop. Simon is standing there like a fucking soldier going to battle. Men are dumbasses. I literally suck a dick, Simon, because this is why Anthony and Simon are friends. Is because this is not what Lady Danbury was saying to do. She did not say, go up to this girl and tell her you don't like her, she was a convenience, and you were never friends. That is not what anyone told him to do.
It's one of those things where it's like, dude, you did not have to say all that. But then it also goes back to like elementary school, like, well, he's mean because he likes you. And it sounds like he needs to lie to himself. And so he's just being the world's biggest fucking douchebag in the history. Yeah, like of douchebags.
So mean. It's so mean.
Like he could have been like, because I care about you as a friend, we need to end the ruse and you need to just pick someone because I'm looking. This is starting to become mean on my behalf. But no, he's like, oh, you weren't even a friend.
You weren't even a friend.
You got people out of my way, and now men want you. Peace.
So fucked. So then we're at the opera again. It's during the pre-show. So this was a whole thing when you went to see the opera. The point of going to the opera was not to watch the opera. It was to be seen. You'd be up in your boxes where everybody can see you. So when you would go in, you would see something called the pre-show, which was basically like almost like a warm-up.
Like the
Different
opener?
people would come out. Yeah, but it was like members of the opera just coming out and doing like in this where Sienna's just doing
some song.
An aria. Yeah. She starts crying though. It's so sad when she sees Anthony and just starts crying. It's so sad. That really, like, it hurt my soul.
Yeah.
And Then we get, is it here? Is here where they get in the fight in the stairwell?
No, I thought that was the second episode.
It might be. Oh, here's where we get, finally, a letter arrives from Spain.
This fucking
Marina's
part.
face, I mean this in the nicest way, and I don't mean to shame the actress because she's stunning. The face she makes when she sits down is really freaky. Where she's like, it's so scary. It's such a weird face.
I
get that you're devastated,
yeah,
but like, what are you doing?
Tell the part that happened in the big reveal.
So, yes, she receives a letter where basically George is saying, like, fuck you, I don't know who you are, that's not my kid. Like, it's basically the gist.
I legitimately thought what Penny thought, where I was like, oh, he died. And I was like, and now the problem with this is that it's I almost liked, like, in my head, I was like, if they made it that he had died in war, it almost makes it as though Lady Featherington wasn't right, but now she's not wrong. Like, her logic was wrong, but now her steps are kind of right. But instead, we get this shit. And I'm like,
that the maid is really good at forging
yes,
notes.
well, yes. Then we find out, and I was like, if I called her a cunt in the first episode, what fucking word do I use now? Because god damn.
Marina goes through a lot.
I also,
because obviously I know how the story ends.
Also, like, the second, like, even the first time when Penelope was running down trying to get the letters, and they're like, nothing from Spain's arrived yet. I was like, oh, they're fucking throwing it out. Like, they're pulling a fucking Dobby in Chamber of Secrets where they are taking them away. We're gonna find the stack.
It's so fucked. It's so fucked.
And she's like, it was harsh, but it was necessary. Like, bitch, no, it wasn't.
What was that?
Because here's the thing. 1 out of 3 things happen if you do nothing. He accepts the baby as his own. Wow, boo, you were proved wrong. He goes, fuck that noise. And then you get to go, ha, I was right. Let's get you married off to an elderly man. And then the other one is he dies and you have to go, darn, I'm going to marry you off to an elderly man. So, like, in 2 out of 3, you get to
agree with her that Marina doesn't have that kind of time. Maria doesn't have time to wait to find out what George is going to do, because if she waits and it is that George dies and it's just taking a while for it to come to Marina, she's now showing nobody's going to marry her. Like, she needs to be married before the end of the first trimester so that you could at least believe that the baby, when it came out, is like a healthy premature, which is a very real thing that used to happen back then. If you found that you were pregnant and you couldn't marry the guy who got you pregnant, you married immediately as fast as you can to whoever would have you, so that you could argue, oh, well, I had my baby at like 36 weeks rather than 40.
How many people you think tried to start a weird cult to Christianity where they just tried to go, oh no, I'm the second Virgin Mary? And, like, you know what? Kind of respect for 90% of Earth not falling for that for like the last 2,000 years. And also respect to Mary for pulling it off.
So now, we get a scene that made Jordan a little emo, apparently, where Daphne is getting ready for her ball after Simon dissed her.
Yeah.
And her mom comes in and is like, I don't know, like, you don't have to like that necklace. You don't have to be into that whole thing.
Oh, well,
like,
we skipped the whole part where she got the necklace.
Oh yeah, she's given a necklace by the prince. This at the palace. She's invited to the palace.
Yeah, so hold on. This is something I wanted to discuss. Why is the queen trying so hard for the prince to marry Daphne when last episode she was like, I need the Duke and Daphne together? And now here's my thing. Here's my theory. The queen, I mean, she's the queen, right? Like, she's cool, she's special, she's smart. Maybe she's playing like fucking 4D chess, and she's like, I know Simon doesn't want to marry. I know she's kind of paranoid. Maybe she saw into them as like, yo, I know they're faking it, but I like them together. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to introduce an actual threat. And because men are stupid, like, she's like, oh, Simon's going to get jealous, realize he likes her. Like, I feel like the queen has planned this all out.
I don't mean to dunk on you,
but no.
It's literally just that Simon, before the prince came, Simon was the most eligible, the best catch on the market.
Because there was no British prince?
Yeah. Okay. So the season's incomparable marrying the Duke, that was the big thing. But now a prince has come in. He's interested in the season's incomparable, and it just you have to remember that the prince is also the queen's nephew. So like it just looks good.
That's
for
always
her
so
across the
weird to
board.
think about that. Like all the European families are just kind of one big family, like
Yeah.
which makes World War One really weird. Because in their letters, they were calling each other cousin and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He
Imagine
talked about
going
the
off
Romanovs
to
and
die because your cousins had like a mild disagreement. No, because two different sets of cousins. Like they're not your cousins, but like some dude gets into a fight with his cousin, and now you have to die for it. That's fucked.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but we skipped over two things really quick. So first, after the Simon thing, they're at the Modiste in the dress that they're going to go to the palace in. And I always think Cressida's mother, whose name I do not know, and I always think their last name is Cowper, Cowper. I always think it's Cowpepper for some reason, even though that's like
Not even close.
I constantly call them the Cowpepper family, but it's Cowper.
Love that.
She comes over and basically like, thank God that your daughter's so in love with the Duke, because my daughter wouldn't have a fucking chance with the prince without her.
And like, listen, I know the daughter's a bitch, but she's standing right there. It's like, thanks,
right
Mom.
there. What the fuck? And like, Violet doesn't know. Like, I literally wrote that's so fucked to say about your kid, and Violet just fucking bam, because she's like, here, like,
Yeah.
Her decisions I do not worry about you in my life choices.
No.
So now we're at the ball. She has the necklace.
We skipped over another thing. I texted you. I actually called you about this. When the prince hands her the necklace and the queen goes, "Doesn't that necklace look great on her?" I found my new favorite character of the entire series, where there's a dude standing next to the queen who looks like he doesn't know how to read. That just goes, "Of course it does, Your Highness," and that's who I want to be, the himbo yes man.
Yep, it's a great job, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all the royal tail he's probably getting.
Yeah. God. So then we have the scene that made Jordan emo.
Yes.
Where Daphne is getting ready for the ball. She's debating putting on the necklace. You know, she's really overwhelmed about everything that's happening because, you know, Simon was a dickhead and enough to throw her off a little bit. Understandably, that threw her off her game. Violet comes in and like, you got one of my favorite moments. So I have two favorite moments between Daphne and Violet in the entire show, and it's the "what you saw was a lie" scene, and a scene that comes way later on in like the second to last or the last episode. But this is "what you saw was a lie." It's that scene, and Jordan texts me and goes, "Where is it? Why is Daphne crying to her mom, confessing that he said the ruse, but confessing that everything between her and Simon was fake, got me crying in the club." And they're just like, "Oh, buddy, it's so sweet."
Because I feel like there's multiple things at play here. I feel like there is I am admitting something to you that I've been hiding. So there's like that guilt aspect to it. I then also feel as though Daphne is kind of screaming this. She's not actually screaming, you know, she's like yelling this at her mom. Same way with Simon, like trying to lie to herself that it was fake. It was a ruse. And then I feel like Violet is not saying it out loud, but it's like but it wasn't a ruse to you, was it?
Yeah.
And like it's just kind of like just
it's like one of those things with a mom, you know, that you don't need to say it. Like they know.
And so like I don't know, it got me emo.
And she just comes over and hugs her and just like gives her a little kiss on the head, and it's very sweet.
It's like you're right. Like I know, like you said this last week, and like now that you said it, it's like she does have such a mom face.
Yeah, I love her. And then they show up at the ball. Daphne looks beautiful in her silver and white
this
gown.
Scene where she's like walking in like, "I'm the bad bitch.
I am a badass motherfucker."
Although everybody looking at me while I have to walk down and be like, "I'm the incomparable of the season."
I am
and then the dude walks up and she has to be like, "Pick it up, bitch boy. I mean, Your Highness."
I love it.
And it's like the fact everyone's watching is weird, but it's like, damn.
Simon is so angry. Lady Danbury is so angry at Simon. It's not even funny.
Has somebody edited that scenes to Gangster's Paradise yet?
I don't fucking know.
I feel like imagine she's walking down and you have the dun 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 then spend the most.
I like that you think I know how Gangster's Paradise
It was
goes.
the song from the first Sonic trailer. Like the first one where like he looked all creepy.
I have no memory.
Okay. Anyway,
So the episode ends with Lady Danbury looking salty, Simon's looking salty, Cressida is salty, everybody's mad.
everyone's salty.
No one is happy. Colin is happy. Colin is the only happy person right now.
That's because he's too dumb to realize what's going on, and I say that with the most endearing sense of.
Colin's just counting the days so he can go to Greece. Like, that's all that's happening here.
Did Mom tell you about my trip to Greece? It's like, what are you doing here?
Okay, cool. We can talk about this now.
Wait,
sure.
Colin, is this like his first time like leaving? Like, has he?
He just graduated. Oxford.
Oh, so he's still a virgin. This makes so much sense now.
Yes. Just wait.
This makes so much sense.
Yeah,
Colin's a virgin.
He just graduated Oxford. He's about to go off on his little like content.
He's like a baby adult.
He may have had sex at this point because a lot of men, when the day they graduated Oxford or Cambridge, wherever they went, would go out with their friends and like get really drunk and get a bunch of prostitutes and like drink a bunch and fuck.
That's
and,
what
like,
they did for their college graduation?
Yes.
My family took me to Applebee's. That's a lie, by the way. That just was the funniest sentence I could think of. What we really did was go to my dorm and move everything out while I was still in my cap and gown and then drive back home. We threw a big party later.
I don't remember what we did.
Exactly. See what I mean? If I had known that the other thing was the option.
I do remember what we did. What little packing I had done, like the big packing I had to do, sent home with my parents in the truck they had borrowed, was done. We went out to lunch after my graduation, and then we went back to my house, packed up everything we could. I was having a mental breakdown because college was ending, and I didn't know what was next. And so I hadn't really packed. And so I stayed in Buffalo for an extra week so that I could finish packing. And then I drove home.
See, I had to do a bunch of my packing in advance because I went up to senior week for your school instead of my own.
Hell yeah.
And then like 99% of my stuff was out, and like when I went back to my school for the night before my graduation, the only thing in my room was like my little suit and tie and my cap and gown.
Yeah. Right, so episode 4, An Affair of Honor. We are officially halfway through. With this episode, we are officially halfway through the show. So we are meeting the prince again. He has a sword for some reason. I don't know why he walks into this event with a sword.
Because he's a prince.
He has a sword. I guess.
Oh god, he's a weeb. He's like, I studied the sword.
I studied the sword. I don't know who that's referring to.
What did you write?
Well, first I wrote, because now we're going to the it cuts from Daphne and the prince having their evening together to Simon just wailing on a speed bag. Just beating the shit out of the speed bag. So first I wrote hot boxers, because the two actors that play Simon and Simon's friend, whose name I don't remember at this moment, are stunning. Like, they are stunning.
My favorite thing was when he walked in and he went, "Is it me or does that speed bag have a German accent?"
No. He just talked about fuck. That man is truly like, I have real problems, like feeding my children.
Yeah.
And then I wrote, this suitor. Oh, this is about the second old guy that asked to see Marina's teeth.
That was a weird
thing.
I wrote,
this suitor makes me want to kill myself.
Listen, this might be a weird take. I kind of would have preferred if he was like, let me see her ass. Like, the teeth? What? I don't know.
He's like, these are soldier. He smiles and nasty.
He smiles
teeth.
And he has, like the average British person's teeth.
And Maria's like, and then Lady Featherington's like, she's very good at painting and playing piano, and he's like, I just want to see how she conducts herself in public and take her out for a spin like she's a fucking car.
Like, the problem is that's probably more respectable than what he actually wants her for. He doesn't care if she conducts herself in public. He just wants an heir.
Yeah. And like something to rut into twice and then fall asleep on top of. Sorry.
You've been there before?
No, it's just like, I don't know. And then we get one of my favorite scenes in this, just because it's so pure. Where this awkward gangly blonde guy, Mr. Finch, comes in looking for Philippa, and he's just sneezing because he's allergic to daisies, but that's what he brought this girl for some fucking reason. And Philippa is so excited, and it's one of those things where it's like, you are both weird, but this is so pure, because you two will be so happy together. You will be fucking weirdos, and I want to be nowhere near you,
the
but
thing
you
to
will
me
be
is,
so
I
happy.
feel like I don't even know if the Feathering sisters are actually weird. I just know that like they're not as attractive and they're British and they're bitches, not British. They're all British.
They have an entire conversation about cheese later on, Jordan.
That was okay. That point was weird, but that also sounded like he didn't know how to speak, and so she was just like, "Anything you say, because I need a fucking husband, because I can."
But also the way she talks is very strange. Like they're just like a weird, like they're that weird couple where you're like, you guys are weird in the same way, so like this is all right.
I have another thing that I'm not going to say out loud, but I'm going to text you. While I text you that, I will say this: he looked like a lankier, like period piece version of, and I can't say the main role I know this guy from because you won't know it, but the dude who played wait, did he play Penguin or the Riddler in Gotham? I think it was the Penguin. The dude who played the Penguin in Gotham, like the prequel series. He kind of looked like that. I don't know if you're familiar with what that guy looks like. I only know who he is because he's in Accepted, my favorite movie.
Yeah. And I'm trying to see if I have any other. Okay, we're good. And
I just
we're at
texted you the thing I can't say out
loud. So then we're at the boxing match. Simon is just being a great hype man for his. Sorry, Cleo's itchy apparently and needs me to scratch her neck. Is being a great hype man for his friend to make people bet on him so that he can get a bigger cut and have more people betting on him. It's just better off for him when he wins. We get some hot men boxing. And Daphne is obviously with the prince. She's cheering for the white guy, whose name I don't know.
Just because he's against Simon, not because he's white.
And that's who the prince is. Yeah, it has nothing to do with his race, but it's who the prince is rooting for, and it's not who Simon's rooting for, so it's kind of like a win-win situation. Yeah. I also wrote, if it will focus, hot men boxing with a little hard-eyed smiley face. Love violent sports.
You do love violent sports. I was like, did Anthony really take his sister here? But did the prince also really ask her to come here? Like, this seems wrong. But then I was like, she's going to stick out like a sore thumb. And then I was like, wait, there's like a lot of high society women here. What the fuck is going on?
I don't really know. This is where it gets a little not historically accurate, but it's fun. It's a good scene.
Yeah, they're like, fuck it. Yeah, sure.
So then we have the scene where Anthony and Simon are kind of saying their goodbyes.
Yeah, because they're like, what, like after the boxing match, they go to like a room in the, is this where
their club? That's the club. Their club.
Okay, so it's not like
they went down to White's.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the club for mid-20-year-old men in the Regency era was like when you're in your like late teens, you have a license, and you and your friends just go driving around because you have nothing better to do. The club is where you go when you have nothing better to do. You can play cards, you can drink, you can talk to people, smoke really good cigars and shit. And he's like, "Aw, Anthony, are you going to say you're going to miss me?" And Anthony was like, "No." And I normalize saying I love you to the homies. Wouldn't I literally tell each other we love each other every single day?
Boom. But like, I mean,
saying I love you to the homies.
Hey, men, say you love other men. There's lots of types of love. Sure, there's the bang love, but there's platonic love. There's sibling love, which is really just 90% hate.
Jordan and Josh love to say. Normalize
kissing the homies on the mouth. All right.
I don't know why I wrote tits in all capital letters.
I do.
Why?
I remember this part because you said I just wrote this down. There's a scene after this when Violet is yelling at like, "Why were you at a boxing match?" to Daphne, and Violet's tits are pulling a Featherington.
So high.
Also, wait, I know we said this a long time ago. The episode before with Sienna's tits, they, because of the way the light was hitting them, looked like they were like being contoured. Like they looked like there was makeup.
She had contour on her. Sienna did have contour on her, and that is the episode where we get the.
Where we get the
right. No, 'cause I
fight
knew
on the...
my fight on the stairs.
No,
Yeah, that
because
does happen in the last episode.
it
This is where they fight in this episode is where they fight in her house.
and they don't fight. They fucking bone.
Well, yeah, they do more than fight. But, like, the conversation on the stairs where she's like, I will always be the woman that you love in the dark, and I am not putting myself through that again. I don't give a shit. You're only here because you are jealous. I love Sienna. Sienna knows what she wants. Sienna's also a little bit of a dumb bitch, but, like, Sienna knows what she wants. Yeah. I have no idea what's happening.
I heard that. I don't know if OBS is picking that up.
I don't know. And there's nothing I can do about it, unfortunately.
No. And, I mean, according to my things, I'm only hearing when you speak.
Fantastic. Violet also ships Daphne and Simon so hard. It's so funny. I also like that Hyacinth is like, you so excited because the prince is going to propose, and both of them are like, the prince hasn't proposed! And Hyacinth's fuck, okay. I don't get to go to these events, remember? Like,
Oh, is she the one that follows her up the stairs?
That's Hyacinth.
That was so weird, because she's like, shouldn't you be somewhere with your governess? And she's like, yeah, but she has the same questions.
My governess has the same questions, my man.
Why
do you think I'm here?
Which makes it sound like the governess went, go ask your sister.
Well, because Hyacinth is a busybody. Like, really is a busybody.
I mean, what 9-year-old isn't?
But even when she's, like, an adult, she's kind of a busybody. Hyacinth, this is the one thing I will give you about Hyacinth. Hyacinth's book is my favorite.
Really?
I love Hyacinth when she's older. She and Lady Danbury become very close, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
Lady Danbury's a busybody.
Lady Danbury is also a busybody. Like, I also like that Lady Danbury's like, fuck you, you're running away, and you just don't want to admit that you're running away. I don't like the rest of the monologue about, like, the king fell in love with one of us. I just, like, I don't love that part.
That part's weird, because it's like, listen, I get we don't have time for the whole lore of this universe that's ours, but, like, with some differences. Like, it's not like it's fucking Lord of the Rings or something, but, like, they kind of just have to yada yada that, like, in their world, the white king fell for a black woman, and then racism was cured. Like, they kind of have to yada yada that.
They kind of imply that there were two societies where there were people of color that had titles, but, like, not really, and they weren't allowed to intermix.
See, I took it as, like we were separated by color, was, like, kind of how, like, I mean, I'm not going to say that's not in America now, but, like, when you read about, like, early America, Jim Crow laws, that there really was two very separate societies.
Yeah. And then now they're allowed to commingle.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, we had a Supreme Court case.
Appreciate that she's like,
and then they just had a king. Yeah. She's like, and he's like, yeah, bye.
Yeah, bye. And then a painting convinces him to go to this ball and fuck with Daphne. Also,
not even a painting of her. It's a painting they looked at together.
Yes. So now we are at the ball. This is where everybody thinks the prince is going to propose.
I
Daphne
like the introduction to this where Lady Whistledown's narration is like, this is kind of the family where things get a little dirty.
Things get a little wild. Well, I mean, yeah, she's got all these ventriloquists and opera singers with no clothes on singing, contortionists.
You said ventriloquist. Imagine you walk into a Regency era ball, and then there's just Jeff Dunham.
Violet sees that Daphne, like, is being real weird with the prince. Violet doesn't even want Daphne with the prince. She wants her with Simon. Anthony's having a meltdown about his mistress.
I texted you this. Well, I texted you two things.
Violet goes, let's get crunk.
No. Okay, I've texted you 3 things that I now have to mention. Before this ball, Violet walks in and hands Anthony a dossier on, like, all the eligible women. That is my mom's biggest dream. And as somebody, like, I've mentioned this on other podcasts here in the Shared Screens podcast network, follow us, boom. I just finished playing Mass Effect. Literally, like, the first 2/3 of the second game is you get a dossier of, like, soldiers and you have to go find them and recruit them. I feel like there was the same energy there. If you've played Mass Effect and you've watched Bridgerton, I don't know how much that Venn diagram crosses over, but you know what I'm saying.
And she just gives him the little list and goes, let me know who you'd like to be introduced to.
Yes.
Like, no one.
Then Violet is just like chugging these champagnes down
Chugging champagne.
like there is no tomorrow. And then Anthony is staring at Sienna like a man having nom flashbacks.
Like, it's hilarious.
Slash,
Sienna's
like,
just staring at him singing, like...
And like the problem is like he's not staring at her in like a sense of awe, but like a oh fuck, and like he's looking at her like you look at a car crash where you want to turn away but you can't.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like, can you stop? You're making me uncomfortable, and I've seen you naked.
Yeah. During this, we also are having Eloise's hunt to find out who Lady Whistledown is. So we get a quick cut to her in that maid's bedroom, like going through her shit, and the maid's like, I've known you forever. What the fuck are you doing? I know when you're lying. And then like shuts her down. And it's like, if I go ahead.
She laughed, like the way she laughed, I was like, she's fucking faking it. There was like a minute or two where I was like, she's laughed so hard at this idea and found so many ways to just shut it down that I'm like, oh, it's fucking her, isn't it? Again, don't tell me if I'm right or wrong.
I'm going to tell you on this one that you're wrong. No. The whole point is that this is the moment where Eloise realizes, why the fuck would a servant be doing this? Because it is true. When the fuck would they have the time?
That is true. However, the idea that it's a servant does make a lot of sense. Like, I feel like the first...
But how would the servant know the next day what had been going on at the balls?
That's true. You do then lose the details. Unless it's like, oh, maybe it's like Homer in the Odyssey, where it's like, it's all this collective servants under one name.
Anyways. This is where Eloise starts to lose. She latches onto this and kind of starts to lose her mind a little bit.
Is there going to be a scene where we go into Eloise's room and she just has like a pinboard with red string?
My fave. Eloise, this is where Eloise makes problems where there aren't.
It's Eloise, but the Always Sunny meme.
Yeah, and what's wild to me about Eloise, because we see a lot of it in like her little fight with Daphne at the piano and all that kind of stuff. Eloise has created a problem that isn't there yet, because until Simon becomes an asshole, but Eloise doesn't know that, Daphne's fine. She's going to be in a marriage that is fine. Nobody's going to beat her, like nothing's going to happen, but she's decided that every woman feels oppressed and doesn't want to be married and doesn't want to have kids.
I know, like...
she's going to...
I know, like, 3 things about Little Women. And one of the things is that quote that's like, just because my dreams are different than yours is not valid. Same energy here. She's like,
yeah,
like
truly.
And it gets into this weird thing of like, is this what you want? Or is it what you want because it's truly all you've ever been told it's what you want? But at some point, you can't ever separate what you learned from how you feel. So if you genuinely feel that way, you genuinely feel that way. I hope what I said makes sense.
Yes, no, I understand what you mean. That, like, there are some women that just want to be married and have kids and be a mom, and that's totally fine and valid. And if that's not your dream, that's not your dream, and that's fine. But you can't poo that it's somebody else's just because it's different than yours and you think it's beneath you. Like, that's not fair.
And yes, like, the systems are oppressive, and were even more oppressive then with how, like, you had to do it, but that doesn't necessarily mean nobody wanted it.
It also can get a little frustrating, and we'll talk about it later when Penny kind of calls her on it. It gets a little frustrating that Eloise acts like this is this huge, awful thing, when in retrospect, she is still a rich white woman. Like, she is still a
well, I mean, I guess
woman.
in this universe, color doesn't matter.
Yes, but she is still a rich woman who will marry a rich man.
Oh, we're going to get copyrighted.
Like,
sorry.
Like, so yes, it sucks that, like, she can't be a writer where she'd be able to make her own money and all that kind of crap, but it is also, like, not as bad as she thinks it is. And she's raging against an idea rather than an actual problem.
There are moments where Eloise comes off, like, preachy. And I don't like to use that word all that often because it sounds like a very easy way to shut people down.
It's true.
But it comes off. And then I feel like, I honestly don't feel like there's something wrong with me saying this. I had like a hunch, don't tell me if this ends up being a thing, with like some of the ways that Eloise was acting in like the first episode and like saying that like I feel as though it's a trap. Like, I'm not sure if they're going to do a thing where maybe Eloise is questioning her sexuality. If that's a thing, that's not a thing.
thought they were too until the last episode.
See, I thought they were
Something
too.
happens in
And
the last episode that changes
I'm
things.
not going to lie. I was kind of worried that that was going to be the case, not because I don't think that's an important storyline to tell, but I don't like the idea of them making it like, oh, the queer woman's also a like mean level raging feminist. Like, I felt as though it would have become a stereotype, and so I'm very happy to know that that's not what's going on.
Always does, if they follow the books the way they sound like they're following the books and what they set up in this season that we'll talk about after you've watched the whole season. If they're Eloise does have a very beautiful story in the books, a very beautiful story of growth that is very similar to Jo's journey in Little Women. I've seen that comparison made before, just on like a little bit of a lower level. It's very sweet, and I hope that they go that way. But yes, it does. I thought that too, and there are people who think that both Benedict and Eloise are queer coded.
I'm not gonna lie, I did also get that with Benedict in the artist's house. I was like, maybe that was my own weird bad stereotypes. I was like, is the artist gonna pull a move at him? Like, is the artist gonna pull a move at him?
No.
That's what I thought was gonna happen. And then I was like, I saw the artist's life and how he was smiling. I was like, oh no, the artist is straight. Oh.
Just wait until the next episode.
Okay.
So then we're back at the ball. The prince is about to propose. Daphne cannot handle it and just runs out of the room.
I like how she's just taking advantage of this dance where you have to switch partners.
Hey, wouldn't you? Like, and Simon comes out for whatever fucking reason. She rips off the necklace.
I thought she was about to fucking Titanic that bitch.
It doesn't mean as much when you're throwing it into a garden. Like when you're throwing it
but
into
there was
yard.
like a little bridge, so I thought maybe there was like a stream or something. My lighting's all wonky. My apologies.
Fine. She lays Simon out on why like everything he's doing is not okay. And he just stands there in silence. He's like, are you gonna say anything?
And he just keeps saying nothing.
That is my biggest pet peeve, and I'm one of those people where I will be like, do you really, like, are you dumb? Like, do you really have nothing to say to all of that, or are you being a bitch? Like, it drives me nuts. And then he just keeps apologizing. It's like, stop fucking apologizing!
See, the thing that pissed me off more was how long it took him to finally call her Daphne after calling her Miss Bridgerton like 12 times. It's like, dude, I feel like that would have stopped her sooner. You know what I mean? Especially with back then how like names worked. I truly feel that if he had said Daphne sooner, she would have stopped sooner.
Probably. But then she goes running into the yard because Simon won't leave. She asks him 3 times to leave. He just stands there and stares at her.
It's like the opposite of Beetlejuice.
Yeah, so fine. I'll fucking go.
Hey guys, sorry about that little cut. There were some technical difficulties. Where were we?
Were just having a meltdown.
It's okay.
We were Simon and Daphne.
He should have just called her Daphne sooner.
And just like, I don't know, said anything. And I know that like people have said before that they think the reason he doesn't speak is that he doesn't want to stutter in front of Daphne and that he's getting upset. And so he can't, he's having a hard time not stuttering. But like, just stutter in front of her. Of all people, Daphne is not going to care.
Also, she might, I get that he has a very, very big
issue.
What's it called? Insecurity about it. But she might not take it as like, oh, this is something you have, but like you don't know what words to say.
What to say. Exactly. So then we also get a quick cut back to Violet, who is just still drinking everything.
Drinking. She's got 2 champagne bottles, talking about how good it is. All the other
and
adults.
She's introducing Anthony to these women that he does not care about.
And he's just looking at them going, hi.
You good? Like, what are you doing here, ma'am? Like, Violet's just shit-faced.
I will say I did find Sienna more attractive than the woman that Violet introduced Anthony to. So I get it, Anthony. I get it.
Then we cut to Benedict at the artist's place.
Where he like,
and it's the part where he's been drawing the naked ladies, and the artist comes over to look over his shoulder, and he's like, "Don't look!" He's like, "It's nothing. It's lines."
Yeah.
He's so angry. It's so funny to me.
And then the dude tells him, I think he tells him this in the first scene when he walks in, but I think this is like the lesson that is going to stick with Benedict forever of firstborn, or heirs get the money, but secondborns get all the fun.
All the fun, yeah.
I'm the only born.
We also, Sorry. We also cut to the Featherington house where Marina and Penny have returned from the ball after Marina was dancing with Colin.
Yes. Okay. So, I mean, there's a few things to mention there. She's dancing with some creepy dude. And honestly, I'm starting to think that maybe the like more than 2 dances rule was improper, was like a woman was able to slip a rule in there. Because it's such an easy out of like, I'm sorry, but that would make me a
It would be
whore.
improper. It would be bad. We're not going to do that.
And he was like,
Sorry.
I won't judge you.
Yeah.
And then so Colin comes up, and then also like it's just this hilarious thing of this dude's asking this girl to dance, and then like a very young, handsome man, and this dude's looking like he has 1 foot in the grave already.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the toes from the other foot's already in there, and this dude's just like, hello.
Hello.
And then Penny's just like, I am jealous.
I know, poor Penny has been in love with Colin forever.
Well, no, she doesn't even get jealous until she realizes how Marina feels about it. She's just like, look at how nice Colin is.
Well, because then Marina is like, well, because Penny's also jealous because, yes, she has been in love with Colin forever, as is evident earlier in the scene when they're like, when Penny makes that joke and Colin's like all sweet to her. He calls her Pen. They're very good friends, and Penny is in love with him, and just Colin has no fucking idea because Colin's an idiot.
Virgins.
I hate the way Marina says, because Penny goes, Colin is still so young to marry though, and you need an engagement soon. And Marina's like, but did you see him tonight? He's eager. And it's like, don't say that. Don't say
Well,
that.
it is also, this is a very weird scenario where you have the girl knows about sex and has had it. And like, she could ruin that boy's innocence in a second. And he doesn't even have to go to Greece for it.
And then we obviously have Daphne and Simon are in the maze.
Yeah, I was going to say just about them going back home, the Featheringtons. We had the one Featherington daughter come up to her mom crying. Also,
oh, yes.
With the necklace she's wearing of like that giant flower.
Yeah.
LeighErin, if I can find it, I will send you a photo. My family has a Christmas candle holder that is that exact flower that is made of metal. It's probably from like the late 90s or some shit. And I'm like, this bitch is wearing it as a necklace.
That's funny.
But yeah. And then the mom is like, Miss Featherington goes up to her husband and is like, what did you say to like the scrawny...
What did you say to him?
What did you say to the scrawny allergetic boy that made him like get all hissy at our daughter? And he's like, well, she can wait till next year. He's like, we have another one for next year. And he's like, maybe they should both wait for next year.
Maybe they can all wait till next year. Don't embarrass me anymore. Ha! So then we also have Simon and Daphne in the maze where they finally lose control and make out.
I have mixed opinions about this. I'm not going to lie. I have mixed opinions about this.
Tell me. I'm ready. Give them to me.
If we took the exact plot of Bridgerton, right? Mm-hmm. But we were like modern day, none of the like weird rules and all that. Like if it's just the general premise of there's going to be a couple who fakes being engaged, realize they like each other, you know, classic rom-com thing, but put it in the modern era. Mm-hmm. I do believe there would be a scene in the middle where the two fuck, because that's how shit goes nowadays, right?
Usually at the midpoint in a rom-com, they have done something sexual, whether it's make out like this or they have fucked.
Yes. Okay. And then it's like, for some reason, they're not going to continue with it, and that's going to break people's hearts. Whatever. We've seen a bunch of rom-coms, right? And I get that. I feel like this show could really do a lot by being like, oh no, like you get a slow burn / we kind of got the tease with Daphne learning to, you know, touch herself, which was a whole thing. But I feel as though if this was just a kiss, just a deep, deep kiss, and everything else played out the same, it would not only emphasize how bad and horrid kissing was, but make it be like, I don't know. I just feel like it would have done more. The second he started groping her and stuff, like, and I'm not saying, again, it was all consensual.
What was going to happen regardless. Like, Anthony was going to call him out even if they just...
But that's what I'm saying. I feel as though they could have emphasized the point by having it stay at a kiss, and I feel as though it's going to have a better payoff when they finally fuck.
But Simon's a man.
I don't know. Also, the other thing is, like...
If you have wanted to... Jordan, look me in the eye right now. If you had a girl for like 3 months at this point that you have wanted to hook up with and can't, and finally, you are able to do something with her, your other brain is going to take over eventually.
Here's the thing. Even in my horniest of moments, and I've had some horny moments, like dark moments, I feel like you gotta be kissing at least 2 minutes before you start groping.
Yeah, but this is television.
And it's almost like the same second his lips touched hers, he's got a hand on the titty.
But that's the second time. The first time they kiss, they just kiss, and then Daphne grabs him, and that's when he's.
But like, you know what I mean.
I don't know. I get it. Like I get that.
I also feel like if there's a point in which Simon, and obviously I saw how the whole episode plays out, and I know that he's being a stubborn bitch for the rest of the episode, but I assume there's also going to be a point where Simon is like, no, I love her. I'm gonna like I kind of understand how it's going to end in a general sense. Mm-hmm. I feel as though it's going to be so much harder to convince Anthony it was honest after he saw that he, like, touched her. If it was just a kiss, and he was like, it was a kiss of passion, there is an easier...
Yeah, but you could argue grabbing a titty was
a move of passion.
Listen, like, look at what Anthony goes and does tonight. Like, how Anthony spent the rest of his evening.
I have touched many a tit out of passion.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But I don't know. I really feel from I don't know if it's a writing perspective or a blocking perspective, whatever the fuck you want to call it. If they had stayed at just a kiss, I feel as though something there would have been an extra oomph behind everything that I personally would have enjoyed. I don't know if this is a hot take. Bridgerton fans, let us know. I don't know why my camera keeps flashing green, but I'm not gonna waste any more time trying to fix shit today.
That's fine.
It's my off day.
It's my off day. Yeah, that's fine. I don't know. I get it. When it's been like months that you guys haven't been able to do anything, and you finally do something, it can be hard to like.
I get that. But it's also like
I've been there.
She also just learned about all this yesterday.
Yeah, but even then, I get it. Like,
that's the other thing. I feel like it's also overwhelming for her.
Yes, and that's the other thing where Simon does apologize for that later on, that like she was just kind of going with everything. I think the other thing that I have this opinion just in general, that making out is always interesting to me, because on women there are multiple things to grope, where when you are a woman kissing a man, there's not a lot to grope.
There's technically, I'd argue there is nothing to grope, because the second you start like teasing his nether regions, I don't know. I'm trying to be semi-appropriate.
And that's hard, especially in breeches. Like, that's
breeches
hard to do.
Jeans. But either way, like, even if you're wearing very relaxed clothing, I feel like the second you start teasing or touching the man down there, it's implied like, oh, now we're going to Bone Town, where it's like, you can grope a woman all day long and it's never going to go past that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's just like nowhere, like
the second
I feel like grabbing her thigh like that, where he pulls up the dress and grabbing her boob, doesn't mean anything to me, because like that's whatever to me. But
I mean, I've seen people get that done to them at a bar.
Yeah, but it just seems unequal because there's nothing for
There's
Daphne
truly
to do.
Nothing you can touch on him.
Like, a lot of making out when you're a girl making out with a dude is like, I don't really know what to do with my hands, because having them up here, like around your neck this much, is kind of starting to hurt.
Play with his hair.
Putting them around your waist makes me feel like a child. Like,
play with his hair.
Yeah, but like, some guys are really weird about playing with their hair, and sometimes like, if you've never touched their hair,
I grew it out for a reason.
And you don't know exactly what the texture is going to be. It's like, what if it's greasy? Or what if it's sticky? And then your hands are sticky.
Why is it sticky?
Because of gel.
Oh, true. I guess like
in a bar, guys who have gel in their hair gets sticky real quick.
Oh god, if you had to like make out in like 2002 and everybody was fucking spiking that shit up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's just nothing for you to touch.
Funny
and like
story.
Grabbing a man's ass while you're making out is like really awkward.
And I don't think most, I mean, I'm not going to speak for most. I'm not going to speak for all men. I'll speak for most. I don't know how many of them are going to be into that.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's just like it's different. And boy butt feels different than lady butt. Yes.
No, I don't know.
Tell me. Ask your question.
I understand that you're a lady and you have a butt. But how do you know how, like, the average lady butt feels? Because I'm not judging you for anything.
I went to college for theater.
That's true. Girls also just, like, be touching each other for fun.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is I feel like most girls, like, just grab each other's butt. Like, I don't know if Taylor Hall is listening to this, but Taylor Hall and I have absolutely grabbed each other's butts before. Just like, I don't know, like you'll be hugging and you just grab their butt. And it's just like, it's a very, I don't know, like it's just like a thing girls do. I've definitely grabbed many women's butts.
Same.
Of my friends.
Not that
it's all
part.
consensual, but yeah.
But funny story, we said like hands around the neck or the waist. I think I've told you this story before. I don't know if I've ever told the story on a podcast. The first slow dance I ever did when I was in middle school, I was 12 years old. The girl I was like, with the dance, I was like, do you want to slow dance? And I was like, yeah, okay. Which like to a 12-year-old sixth grader is going like, do you want to go behind the bleachers and make out in high school? Which to a high schooler's being, do you want to go to my place and fuck right now? Like they're like, things change as you grow. Anyway.
I almost said something really mean.
Say it. People have said worse to me, I'm sure.
I was about to be like.
Yes, I know. Nobody was asking me that in high school.
Jesus Christ! All right, I was just saying. I feel like I have never heard of anybody, and maybe it's because of how Ketchum is set up. Nobody ever was like, "Let's go behind the bleachers."
Oh no, that didn't happen at my school
always
either.
Like, it's always like, we are seniors and we get out of class early. Let's go back to my parents' house before they get home, have a quickie, and then go about our business.
Yeah, no. Anyway, so we start slow dancing. She puts her hands around her neck like this. And I'm like, fuck.
Around her neck? She
around
puts her
my
hands
neck.
Around her neck?
She goes like this. She goes, boom, around my neck, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, fuck, where do I put my hands? Where do I put my hands? And I'm like, panicking because I'm like, listen, Professor McGonagall's voice was in my head going, your hands on my waist. And I was like, but no, that's inappropriate. It's too close to her butt. Like, I was like, I couldn't.
Okay, I think we're getting into the whole thing of like Jordan doesn't. So, listeners, I'm about to let you know a little secret. Jordan doesn't really know the difference between waist and hips, and we've had this conversation multiple times before. That like, just grab her waist. That's not close to her butt.
Either way, I was like, I actually might have been 11. I don't remember what part of the school year this was in.
I also like that. Fucking Maggie Smith's voice is in your head while you're having like, this experience.
Yes. And so I panic. I put my hands under her armpits. Yup. Like I'm carrying an infant. We're like at an arm's length. You know, we're leaving room for Jesus. Look, no, now you're just pulling a Rafiki. She's facing me. She's not facing outwards.
Oh, we can do that. Sorry, Cleo. I'm just gonna torture you for 1 second more. This.
Yes.
I dance with Cleo. I make Cleo dance like this.
with you know, plenty of room for Jesus in the middle.
So I have the opposite issue. Not slow dancing. I literally could not tell you any time that I've ever slow danced except for senior prom.
Aw, honey.
It's not my thing. Also, I went to Catholic school. We didn't really do dances.
True.
In middle school. Anyways, mine is I am a short person, right? I'm like 5'2", and I don't do it on purpose, but I happen just to date guys that are taller than me. Like statistically speaking, most men are at least 3 or
you're 5'2", and the average American male is 5'8". So like,
exactly.
Yeah.
So they're usually at least 4 to 5 inches taller than me. But I was dating somebody in college who is straight up a foot taller than I am. And when we would make out, eventually that's a high up for my arms to be, and I'm already on my tiptoes, and it's just too much stretching for me. So I drop, and like a lot of time when I was in college too, that we'd be making out in like public and like this, that we weren't sitting. I'd be in heels because we'd be like out. But my hands just always end up on the guy's waist or hips just because my arms are tired. And that's like where it is. And I've accidentally grabbed guys' butts before just because of the height difference. That's where my arms kind of like go when I reach for their, like, it's, I don't know. I really struggle. Being a foot shorter than the person you're dating is really difficult.
I feel like you could just put your hands like around his back. Like do that thing people do where they fake make out with themselves and just rub your hands on their back. I'm not going to do it, but you know what I'm talking about.
I don't like rubbing people's backs when we're making out because it feels very maternal. And
but you could scratch at it. You could pull at it. You don't have to be like, there, kiddo.
Yeah, but why am I doing that while we're making out? Like, that doesn't need to happen. I don't need to be. You're there. I would. I just got really overwhelmed. I would wager a bet that no girl has ever made out with a guy where the kissing was so good that they're like, I'm gonna scratch his back.
Yeah, probably, but I'd prefer that over the ass. Like, just fake it. Don't touch my butt.
But there are some nice boy butts. Anyways, so yeah, they're making out in the maze. Anthony comes in, as always, real hot.
Also, like, dude, where did you come from?
He was looking for her. A, he was trying to get away from his mother. B, Daphne is gone, the prince is still here, and Simon is gone. Like, Anthony's dumb, but he's not that dumb.
He may be dumb, but he's not an idiot.
Yeah, he's just looking for her. And he can go wherever he wants.
Also,
like,
Anthony has a better right hook than I thought.
Yeah, Anthony takes him down pretty quick. I'm kind of impressed. When Simon's not expecting it, he's a pretty good fighter.
Yeah.
When Simon's expecting it, it's a little rough. But like when he's not, we're doing okay.
Part of me also thinks Simon was like, "Yeah, I deserve this."
Yeah, I feel like there's also the energy of like, I deserve this.
This is fair. Like there was a few seconds where he went, "I could stop it," but
this is okay.
Yeah.
Anthony demands satisfaction. Well, no, Anthony first says, "You're marrying her tomorrow," and Simon says, "No," which is so fucked. And so then Anthony demands satisfaction. They're going to have a duel. Anthony and Simon's just like, yeah, okay, you're going to kill me in the morning. That's fine. Which, like, to Daphne, who does not know everything we know about Simon and everything with his dad and all of his issues, has to be the craziest thing.
Yes. Like, but Simon's like, oh, you mean I could complete my goal of, like, ending the Hastings line, like, now?
Now?
And then there's Anthony who's like, if I kill him, I get to leave and I get to be with my opera singer and I never have to do this shit again. Both of them kind of want a duel and both of them kind of want Anthony to win. But here's the other thing. Yeah. You say that when you duel, the gentlemanly thing is to shoot wide. Mm-hmm. And then you both fuck off out of the country because you did a duel?
No, I think you're both just like, you both just go home.
Then why isn't that what because, okay, from what you've told me, the issues with duels is if you die, okay, we all know what death means. If you win, you now have to leave because you murdered a man. But if you both shoot...
Even if you don't kill the other person, if you just injure them, you have to leave.
But so then, that's the logic I'm getting at. If everybody just shoots wide, they can be like, okay, we did what we're supposed to do. I mean, maybe you've lost a friend.
I truly don't understand the point of duels because Anthony demanding satisfaction doesn't stop the fact that Daphne's reputation would be ruined. And now and Anthony going off and doing this duel will ruin all of their reputations, but then he's going to leave and it's going to be okay. But like Benedict would have to build up the Bridgerton name again, all on his own. It's just like, it's such a bad idea. Like, when men would demand satisfaction for, like, the big thing that men would demand satisfaction for was being accused of cheating. That was, like, a huge thing. And, like, that situation where you're both mad, you think somebody's been cheating at a card game or anything like that. Like,
oh, I thought you meant, like, adultery.
Oh, no, they don't give a fuck about that. That's happening everywhere. No, like,
you meant, like, literally, like, cheating.
Being called a cheat when you're playing cards or, like, betting on horses and that kind of thing was, like, a huge insult.
Because it was, like, your honor and your word.
Yeah. So, in those cases, I understand being like, I demand satisfaction, and you both go and shoot wide, and then you're like, okay, we're good, bye. With this case, it doesn't fix anything.
Well, here's my question, and I know this can open up a very big topic about society and the way we treat women, but, like, just... If Anthony went and said, Simon touched my sister, like, if he painted it as though it was not Daphne's consent, would she still be ruined?
Yes, because why was Daphne alone with him?
Gotcha. Just because, like, I'll use a slightly modern example, and I'll give a trigger warning. Are you having
duels with people?
No, I'm being semi-serious here, and, you know, there is a fair trigger warning here. My mom was telling me a story about in Saudi Arabia, like, because my parents watch the Middle Eastern news, so they hear shit, and as we all know, there's many aspects of Saudi Arabia.
Okay, so this is not, I need you to clarify this right now. This is not a family story, correct?
No, Jesus Christ,
okay.
No.
Okay.
This is a news story that we just know about because we watch news from that region, and there's a lot of aspects of Saudi Arabia's culture that are very backwards in the way they do things.
Mhm.
And similar to in Bridgerton, where it's like nobody knows about sex, especially women, until a certain age, or especially at the very, very least, not at a young age.
Mhm.
And there was a person, or there was a girl who was basically getting molested by her dentist because she didn't know what was right and wrong, and he was the like it's a horribly fucked story, but
Mhm.
let's just leave it at that. And it's like, there, at least nowadays, and maybe age comes into play a bit, they wouldn't th- even in a country that is as backwards as Saudi Arabia is in this day and age, wouldn't victim blame her. But they would also have to explain to her future husband what had happened. And now
Yeah, so
if that turns him away from her, that's his own fucking problem.
yeah, and so
But
that's the
nobody would
thing.
look at her as the equivalent of like a 16-year-old that was caught hooking up with some dude.
Yeah, because they're not. She was a child, and in Regency or England, it would be similar. If it was a child, that'd be like a huge thing. If it's because
If that was
okay,
like Eloise, because Eloise isn't out yet, even though she's in the show,
okay,
she's of
so
age,
I
right?
can. Yeah, she's 18, but she would because she's not out yet. This is the whole thing. So coming out is more than just like having a ball and you being a debutante. You are literally not allowed to be at society events unless they're happening during the daytime, like the art thing where they all go,
Or they're happening at your
or
house.
like picnics or that kind of stuff. Even if you were no, if you were in bed before the party even started, if you were not out, even if it was at your house.
Okay, so if the Bridgertons were to hold something at their house, Eloise and Francesca, no, Francesca's the one that's away, right?
Francesca's with her aunt right now, but Hyacinth, Eloise, and Gregory would be well, in this case specifically with Bridgerton, it would just be Hyacinth and Gregory would be upstairs and like
So Eloise would be
doing their thing.
allowed, even though she's not out.
Because Eloise is 17, 18, and could in theory be out but isn't officially out yet, she would be allowed to make brief appearances at events hosted at her own home by her own family.
Gotcha.
Anything else she cannot be at.
But so in
Until the very hang on,
yeah,
until the very end of the season, a lot of the times, and they even do this in Bridgerton, a lot of the times at the very end of the season, girls that would be coming out that next season but had so the season started in January.
it's like a sneak peek for what's to come next time.
Yeah, so say your oldest sister was out and your younger sister was going to be coming out the next season, and you and your wife hosted a ball. Your middle sister would be able to attend all dressed up with her hair up and all that kind of stuff to that because it's family and she's coming out next season. Yes.
Is my wife thick?
Shut the fuck up.
Okay,
but before
so
that, you are not allowed to be out. Hang
Yes.
on one second. Just let me finish writing this down.
Okay.
So the implication is if you have corrupted a girl that's not even out yet, you went into another man's home and
Gotcha.
dishonored him and all of this stuff, because that's the only way you could be in contact is if he invited you into his home.
Whereas in this situation, they will view Daphne as like, well, why did you get put in a situation where he could?
Why did you go into the maze by yourself? Like, when he came out,
Why was your mom or
and
your
you're
brother not
outside-
there with you?
Yeah, why did you go outside by yourself? When he came out, why didn't you immediately go back inside and find your mother or your brothers? Like, that's the whole thing. And that's where the blaming comes, where if it were like, if she were younger, if she wasn't out yet, it'd be handled a little bit differently because there'd be an implication. It would still probably end in a duel, but either way. And then so they both go their separate ways to prepare for the next morning to meet at dawn. We get this quick little moment where Cressida asks Daphne if she's okay. Hold on to that for later. And Anthony goes up to Colin and is like, hey, I have to take Daphne home because she doesn't feel good. Mom's wasted. Just make sure she gets home safely, please. Please, please. Colin's like, okay. What happened to your mic? I can't hear you.
Did something happen to my mic?
Oh, there we go. You're back.
Okay. I do not know. I didn't really contribute to the conversation since you've been talking, so it's fine.
Yeah, no, you're good. So Anthony goes home. He basically is like, Daphne, go to bed. I don't give a fuck. Benedict comes in and is basically like,
He looks
what
so
up?
happy. He looks a little
I
drunk
know.
too.
He's like, what up? How's everything going? Anthony grabs him and literally throws him into a room.
And the
Benedict's
same
literally just
night
like,
he was
"What up?"
taught the lesson of second-borns get all the fun. Anthony goes, "You're the heir now."
Yeah. And so Anthony goes, Daphne, bed, and then throws Benedict into his office. They're having a whole conversation. Colin rolls up
Okay,
with their mother.
this is the part.
Yes.
I knew that was Violet and she was drunk and she's like laughing and they didn't show that it was Colin right away and you were like and you had told me like
Violet brought home a man.
yes and no. Like you were like, oh, Violet is in different form these 2 episodes. And so I thought she had like another gentleman escort her home and like I didn't think they were gonna do a thing where like she went upstairs and banged him. But I thought they were gonna be like, what's going on? But then I was like, oh, it's just Colin.
Yeah, no, it's just Colin. And then
The poor fucking virgin is just like, what is it? Like they're like, come in here, and he's like, oh god,
Come here, come here, come here. Oh god, did someone die?
not for another 5 hours.
Yeah. I love that just everyone, because then we cut to Simon. He's at the boxing match, like looking for the boxing ring, looking for liquor, and when the guy comes in, he's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing here? I love that just everyone is mad at Anthony and Simon. Nobody is happy with them. Like, everybody's mad. And then Anthony sets everything up with Benedict. And he's like, I have to go do something. I'll see you there. Bye. And he rides off to...
I think I texted you. I like how when they agree to duel at the crack of dawn, none of them goes, I need a good night's sleep. My brain needs to be sharp. My eyes need to be sharp. They both go, I'm going to stay up all night and drink. And Anthony just goes, I'll also throw sex in there because I guess that'll make me, alert.
I hate this, and we'll see the fallout of it, obviously, but that he goes to Sienna and is like, I'm either dead in the morning or we can run away together. That is so mean. That is such a fucked up thing to do. Because you don't know for sure that that's how it's going to go. And that's so unfair to Sienna to be like,
I'm finally going to break this pattern of lords lying to you.
I'm going to break this pattern, and you have to wait all morning because you're either going to get word from my brother that I have died or I will show up and we'll leave. That's awful. That's an awful thing to do to somebody.
Yeah.
And also, just really drives me nuts.
They also sneak out in the middle of the night. Violet is going to wake up hungover to the news that
happening.
And she's going to wake up to the news that Simon touched Daphne and dueled with Anthony, which means that either you're now going to find out your oldest firstborn son is dead, or just you will never see him again because he has to now leave the country. Either way, your life just...
And as we will see as the episode goes forward, the information that that Violet is really getting in the morning is Simon touched and compromised Daphne. Anthony challenged him to a duel. They had the duel that Daphne rode into the middle of, and so Anthony almost shot her. She fell off the horse. She's fine. They didn't get caught, but now Simon and Daphne are definitely getting married, but Daphne's never going to be able to have kids, and we can't really tell if Simon is excited about this. No one really knows what's happening right now, and that is just so much information to get in a span of like 5 minutes while you're hungover.
To quote Mrs. Geller, that's a lot of information to get in 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
The other thing about when Simon's like, I will never give you children, he sounds like he has like, it sounds like he's telling her he's sterile.
And there is a very specific reason for that.
Oh,
This is the one thing where you know something going in, just because of the joke of the show was that Simon came in the sheets. That becomes a point of contention with them later.
Oh, I forgot that was like a thing that regularly happens, and it hasn't happened yet.
We'll see. Simon's not out of the woods yet. Could you stop, please? Thank you. Also, while all of this is happening, we cut back to Lady Featherington, who, after everything that happened at the ball, is like, I gotta figure out what's going on. So she goes into her husband's office and is looking for everything. Finally, her husband returns home from the ball.
And it's like the one time Lady Featherington, kind of did something, like, decent, or is like, yeah, focus on this. Let Marina live.
And so she's looking for all this stuff, and then it cuts to Lord Featherington is coming into his dark office, lights a candle, and he turns, and she's just sitting at his desk, just in the dark. And Lady Featherington reveals that she has looked at the books and realized that Lord Featherington has gambled all of their money away, including his daughter's dowries, which is why he's been scaring away suitors. They will never be able to marry because they don't have dowries. And that would come up in the contract.
Which, again, goes back to the thing of what's worse, the father of the bride giving the dowry or the groom giving payment for the bride? Which is worse?
Yeah.
I feel like that should be a poll.
And he confronts her and just starts sobbing.
I truly didn't know if he was laughing or crying for a solid 10 seconds.
He just bursts into tears. And it's so funny.
Because it's the saddest cry I've ever seen. And listen, toxic masculinity sucks. Men should be more in touch with their feelings, and if you need to cry as a man, don't be afraid to cry as a man. But dude, you are like 47 years old, crying.
It's like when a toddler, like, something happens that scares them more than anything else, so they just burst into tears.
Yeah, and you were crying over something you did, and you were just crying because you got caught. Like, just... I'm gonna say it. I don't like to say it. Man up.
Yeah. And I mean, Lady Featherington basically says that, where she was like, I don't care what you did. Now it's, what are you gonna do about it?
OnlyFans.
Okay. But Jordan, would you believe me if I told you this entire plotline is made up for the television show?
Really?
Imagine my surprise when I read The Duke and I, the book, the first book of the Bridgerton series that this season is based on, and found out that that's not even a plotline.
Do they have is there a different Featherington plotline?
No. It's just that Lady Featherington's fucking annoying. It's the whole thing
with Marina.
No, the whole thing with Marina doesn't even happen in the books.
Oh.
They did it. We'll talk at the end of the season why they added it.
Are they in the do the Featheringtons have their own books in this universe?
No, only Penny, obviously.
Okay. So basically they just kind of had to give the Featheringtons something to do.
Yeah, they wanted to flesh them out more. And I like it because in the books they just tell you that Lady Featherington is annoying and you see little moments of it, but you don't get the full effect of it.
Part of me is also like, but this show would be like half the length if we just didn't get their storylines.
Exactly.
And we just saw glimpses of them.
Well, and you see a lot of Penelope because she's out, so Daphne sees her around, and she's friends with Eloise, but she is very much fleshed out because
Colin.
And in the book, she is in love with Colin. But there's a lot of, like I said to you before you had watched the show, after I had watched it the first time, once I read the books, they lay a lot of groundwork for the future seasons in this season. And we just can't talk about it until you see all of the
Gotcha. And
first season,
like the show that is going to be Bridgerton, like in its entirety, if assuming they go all the way and they give each kid a season, are they going
renewed through season 4?
Are they going to incorporate all the like side books elements into those, or are those supposed to get their own shows? Or are they going to kind of just pick and choose?
So there are, really quick with the Julia Quinn books. So there's the Bridgerton series. There is the Smith Quartet series. There is the Rothby series.
And are those all part of a connected universe?
Those are all part of the Bridgerton universe. There are other books that are part of exist in the Bridgerton universe, and they reference the Bridgerton, but those books don't take place in London.
Gotcha.
Oh, there's also the Belva Stokes series. So there's 4 of them. Right now, we know that Shonda Land, who's the company that produces this, has already come out and said that Netflix has renewed the show through season 4 at least, and that they plan to do 8 seasons, 1 for each Bridgerton kid. That's why every Bridgerton kid is cast, because they plan to just keep using the same actors.
And I guess they did the math of like, oh, the girl we cast as Hyacinth, by the time we get to her season, should be the right age.
She's 12 now. And her season won't be until season 7.
Part of me also was like, oh, is this going to be like an Eloise situation where like, oh, she looks 12 in the show, but she's actually like 17 right now.
No, she's actually like a child. She's like 12. And her season's not going to be for at least like another like 5 years.
Ever since you told me that like the actress who plays Eloise is like in her late 30s, she's become like an optical illusion where I'm like, I see it. No, I don't. I see it. No, I don't.
It's an optical illusion. It's wild. But so we're supposed to get those 8. Then a prequel series got picked up, and technically we don't have confirmation that the prequel series is going to be the Rothby series, but by everything they've been hinting at, it will be.
That's the one that includes their dad.
It includes their father. He's off on the side, but yeah, none of the books are about Violet and Edmund, because neither of them are Rothbys. But you see them because Billy Bridgerton marries a Rothby. Anyways, but that's only 4 books, so realistically, there's only going to be 4 seasons. There are rumors that we are going to get a spin-off series that's called something else that will cover the Smith Quartet, which I hope they do, because I don't know if you remember me calling you about the character Hugh a bunch, and that I loved him.
I don't remember any character names. I remember wild as fuck ass storylines that you'd call me about.
Most of them were with Hugh and the Smith Quartet.
Was that the one in the motel and the dude tried to sneak in and they hit him with the fireplace tool?
Yes, I think so. Yes.
Okay, and then is this what?
He was also the one who's got the fucked up leg, and he just says banana stuff.
Honestly, mood.
Like he just goes to rescue somebody with them because he just happens to be there when they find out that this girl needs to be rescued, and he's like, okay.
Okay, and what about the one where like they accidentally kill a dude, and then the grandma's like, I've slept with him before. Put him in my bed.
Which book is that from?
You remember what I'm referencing, right?
I know what you're referencing because I remember telling you. And then it turns out that the guy isn't actually dead. But I don't remember what book that's from. I don't remember what.
I didn't remember that part. I thought he was dead.
No, he wakes up. He's not really dead. And the grandmother just takes control of the situation. I don't remember which book that is. I don't even remember if that's a Julia Quinn book because I have read a couple other romance novels of this period that are not Bridgerton, that are not that universe. But that does happen in one of them. I think it's one of the ones in the Splendid trilogy, but I'm not sure. And the thing with the Splendid trilogy is it takes place mostly outside of London. So like I don't know if they would ever adapt those.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah, we gotta
keep going here. Also, the scene where Simon and his second are riding to the duel, there's a moment where the way it lines up, it looks like there's only one horse, but you can definitely see 2 heads, and I thought they were riding there together. And I was like, you guys are 2 very large men to be on one horse.
I thought you meant you could see 2 horses' heads so that they were riding on a 2-headed horse together.
No. Hey, you saw one horse, but 2 human heads.
Questions.
Kind of offset.
2 questions. What is the role of the second?
You know what, Jordan? I have no fucking idea.
Because from what I've gathered, the guy who challenged the duel, his second's job is to bring the guns for both of them. And he won't tamper with either of the guns because the other second picks the guns that they're going to use. And that's all I figured out, is one of them brings the guns, the other one chooses who is going to use what gun.
Well, I also know that there is a purpose behind the second where the second could be shooting, because in Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812, which is a musical based on War and Peace, on like a 70-page sliver of War and Peace, there is a character that doesn't matter except for the fact that he is the best friend of Anatole, who gets challenged to a duel, and his best friend is a crazy good shot. Like, is an incredible marksman.
So you're left to challenge a duel and be like, this person's going to be my second. Okay. And then when you get to the duel, be like, he's shooting. He's my second.
Okay, so the second was a friend who came along to help prepare your weapons, make sure the other duelists didn't plan to ambush you, and make sure that the rules of the duel were being followed. The seconds were also supposed to try and defuse the situation that led to the duel by getting an apology from one party or another.
If that happened, would the duel not happen?
Yes. Because that's why Simon's friend is like, just apologize to him and I'm sure it will be fine. And then Simon's like, nah, I kind of was like fucking around with his sister. And
I got I got a handful, bro. It's not like a fingertip. It was like it was a handful.
Seconds were also supposed to, in truth, seconds often ended up fighting duels along the main duelists. Sometimes there were thirds and fourths along for the fights as well. In any event, after one man issued the challenge, the seconds would arrange the details. The process could take up to days.
So wait, you could have a third and a fourth. At what point does it become a war?
I don't know. When a duel was declared, any weapons could be used with either the challenger or his opponent, given the choice depending on which set of dueling rules was in use. The Dueling Code of 1777 provided that the challenge has the right to choose his own weapon unless the challenger gives his honor he is no swordsman, after which, however, he can decline any second species of weapon proposed by the challenge. Anyways.
Okay, second question.
I think the other reason that the second is there, is because say Simon did come up and shoot Anthony, like ride up behind Anthony and shoot him in the back of the head, it would be Benedict's responsibility to then shoot Simon.
Fair.
Yeah.
Second question. Who's the stocky dude in the blue suit?
Doctor.
He's a doctor. And he's like giving tips. Is he Anthony's doctor? Is he Simon's doctor? Is he a neutral doctor?
He's a doctor that Benedict hired. Because you had to have a doctor at the duels for some reason. It was supposed to be the challenger, the challenge, both of their seconds, and a surgeon.
Yes. And then I see the doctor. He's like giving advice. And I didn't know he was a doctor. I was like, I kind of want to be the murder caddy. Like, I've found so many jobs I want to be in this universe, but like murder caddy, I think it is himbo yes man, little brown boy who hands the paper out, murder caddy.
All right.
In an ideal world, I would start as the little brown boy handing out the newspaper and evolve into one of the other two. You know, I would move up in the world.
So, finally, Daphne can't stand being at home just waiting to find out what happened. She goes down to Anthony's office, finds Colin in there drinking, demands that Colin tell her where they are. Colin refuses, and Daphne's like, well, what will happen? And he was like, well, if it's really not that big a deal, neither of them want to die, so they're both going to do the gentlemanly thing and shoot wide, and then the whole thing will be over. And Daphne basically says, Colin, you have forgotten that both Anthony and Simon are idiots, because Anthony is too mad to shoot wide, and Simon has too much pride to shoot wide. So
you also don't consider, and I know Daphne doesn't necessarily know this, one of them kind of wants to die, the other wants an excuse to ditch the country.
Yeah, so I think we are underestimating how unintelligent, and you see it when she explains it on Colin's face, where he's like, "Oh,
yeah." He's like, that does add up.
That tracks with everything I am aware of. I also love Anthony in this entire duel. Thinks he's being so big and bad, and it's like, not it, my man. I also just I wrote morons, absolute morons. When Daphne comes riding into the middle of the fight on her horse, Anthony shoots. Simon's gun isn't even down. Simon's just standing there with his gun up in the air.
Well, I'll say two things. One, we have to address the fact that she thinks someone saw her. Because I think she says that before she goes
Cressida
out.
saw her, yes.
Because she's like, then that makes, even if the duel goes through, it makes it null.
If it happens, it doesn't mean anything.
The other thing is, are they morons? Yes. I don't blame, oh, Anthony, why'd you shoot? Bullets move fast, okay? You rode in. Maybe don't ride into the middle of the duel. Maybe go behind your brother, you know?
Yeah, but Anthony was shooting, at Simon. Anthony did not aim wide. That's what's crazy.
I mean, and we all knew. Anthony was there to kill someone.
At that moment, Anthony just wanted to be able to get out of the country without it being his fault.
Yeah.
So, when they're both like, Daphne! And go running over to her where she's laying on the... Also, I'm a terrible person because all I thought of was... I was like, I like in this that Daphne falls off her horse and she's perfectly fine. In Full House, Michelle Tanner fell off a horse in exactly the same way and lost her entire fucking memory. And, has no idea who she is or who the rest of her family is.
That's the story... Okay, side tangent. That's the storyline they ended the show on.
Yep.
It's almost like they were like, we'll jump the shark as the finale.
Yep. So yeah, they both run over. Daphne is like, hey, I need a minute with Simon. Anthony, lunges at Simon, and Benedict, intervenes and is like, make it very brief. And they go off to the side.
And where we can see.
They go off to the side.
Colin's there now. That's fun.
Well, yeah, because Colin had to bring Daphne.
Yeah. Also, the level of, epicness when she's, riding on the horse with her cloak up.
Yeah.
Shrek 2 vibes, right. You know, when, the prince is riding in, you go to Fiona's castle. Cinematic parallels, truly. Castle, sorry, I think I can't. Castle, whatever. My throat doesn't know how to
work. Simon is like, I respect you too much to marry you, which is stupidest line.
The fuck does that mean?
Yeah, like, what
Well,
the fuck am I supposed to do with that, Simon?
no, there are beautiful women out there that I'm like, I respect you too much for you to end up with me. That's not what he's
That's not what
saying.
he means, though.
But
And finally, he's like, well, the reason I can't marry you is I can't give you children, which he thinks will make Daphne go, okay, never mind, proceed. And of course, she's like, I'm just like taking that in for a moment. Anthony comes over and is like, so we have to continue before
which is
someone shows
really
up.
weird. It's like, hey, sorry to interrupt. Am I killing you? Are you killing me? What's the
What's
plan?
happening here? And then Daphne went, I'm that bitch, and the duel does not have to continue because we're getting married and I'm taking the decision out of all of your fucking hands because you're all morons.
Yeah.
And declares that her and the Duke will marry, and that's where we leave off, and we will pick up next time with episodes 5 and 6, which are steamy.
I'm
It's
ready.
If I remember correctly, it's pretty much just sex and debauchery in the next 2 episodes.
My 2 favorite things.
It's your 2 favorite things.
Yeah.
So yes, how would you rate these 2 episodes, Jordan?
I'm sorry. What was our scale again?
I don't know.
I have to find these fancy British ass words.
They're not that. I need the audience to know before Jordan finds them. They're not that fancy.
They are
like
adequate, delightful, remarkable, and marvelous.
And what do you?
So, for record, I don't think we did this last episode.
We didn't.
No, I put the first 2 episodes down as marvelous, like wonderful.
Great intro.
Wait, okay. I'm gonna actually edit something right here on the fly live. That's how we do this. I think now that we've gone past the 3rd episode, we now need a 5-point scale, and there's only one thing that can go above marvelous. Exquisite. Exquisite.
Yes.
So I'd actually say the first 2 episodes were exquisite, and you could snort if you'd like. These 2, I'm not gonna lie, were a tiny bit of a not as great for me, just because, like I said, I have a weird issue with the
Groping her.
Yes, and not in the way that that sounds on paper, where it's like I do think that the show could have benefited by less is more, and the whole they finally got that moment and now he's there. The dual part is just, it is what it is. I thought it was going to be a big deal, but it sounds like it's really going to get resolved pretty quick. So I'm giving these a remarkable. Quite remarkable.
Yeah, they're good. It's building for the next element of the show. Cleo's losing her mind. Sorry. It builds for the next moments of the show, and I'm really excited to go forward because we get a lot of really cool setups and resolutions to a few things. It's very. I was concerned the first time I watched this, being like, oh, they're getting married so soon. But
yeah, I didn't realize that they were going to get married in the next episode. The only reason why I know that is I looked at not the episode description for 5, but for 6 as well. And they're like, they're married now. It's like, oh, I thought that would be the finale.
No, but you'll see. All right, thank you for joining us for tea. We will be back next time to discuss the next episodes and all the scandals that the Bridgertons and Hastings are getting up to. We'll see you next time, my darlings. Bye. Did I promote stuff?
No, just remember to like, comment, subscribe, and follow us on Twitter.
All right. Bye, guys.
Alrighty then.